You read the title correctly. I made 100 shiny sandwiches in Pokemon Violet. How many shinies did I get? How good was the average sandwich? How good was the best sandwich? Well, let's find out. To start, I had to get all of the Herba Mystica that we needed. Over 200 of them. It took a long time. You know what doesn't take a long time? Liking the video. Boom! Do it. For our first sandwich, I went electric type because I was a man on a mission. Before this, I was probably the last person alive who had not yet found a shiny Pawmi. And so help me, I was going to get one if it was the last thing And yeah, I found one in less than a minute. And I immediately committed high treason by shoving it in a quick ball. Say what you want, I wanted that Pawmi. This was outside of Medali, and there were a lot of electric shinies I hadn't gotten yet. There's Voltorb, Dedenne, Pachirisu, Pikachu, and yeah, 6 minutes later I got another Pawmi. Started from the bottom, and now we here, baby, 2 shiny Pawmis. I hung around Medali for a while longer, but I didn't find any more shinies. But hey, 2 shinies on the first sandwich, it's still a good start. You know what else is off to a good start? This YouTube channel. Thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers, and 2,000, and 3,000, and 4,000. Dang, that was fast. But I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And there's also a Discord server now, check that out in the description. But moving on, sandwich number 2 was fire type, because I wanted a shiny Houndour. I headed to Inlet Grotto, and after about 15 minutes of closely inspecting every Houndour to make sure they weren't blue, I found the shiny, which is super obvious to see. But here's something you need to know about me. I made a short about the playstyles of this game, and I am 100% the nerdneck playstyle. Everywhere I go, I'm constantly checking every Pokemon that spawns in around me to make sure it's not a shiny and that I don't miss one. Even if the shiny is obvious and the Pokemon is clearly not shiny, I will zoom in just to make sure. So sometimes my hunts take longer than they need to, but then sometimes you just get lucky. Oh, I guess we do have the regular Volcarona that could spawn here. Regular Volcarona is fine as well. And then 2 minutes later, maybe you'll just get lucky again. Oh my god. And then the rest of your sandwich is just normal and nothing happens. But notice in these how I was not saving. I decided these 100 sandwiches would be hardcore. No saving before the shinies, no resetting if your sandwich didn't give you anything. Sigma male mindsets only. For sandwich 3, I went dragon type. I wanted to try out that AFK shiny Applin method, but I got distracted by Bagon, and I just looked for shiny Bagon the whole time, and I didn't find one. I tried walking around, I tried the Bagon printing press cave, but alas, no shiny. So only 3 sandwiches in, and we already had a failure, and that inflicted emotional damage. So sandwich 4, I did an outbreak to basically guarantee me a shiny. It was for Magikarp, and I already have like 8 of those from Sword and Shield, but I didn't get it in this game yet, so why not? But one thing I didn't account for is that outbreaks take a long time. Killing 60 Pokemon can take up to 10 or even 15 minutes. I did get the shiny, but I only had 5 minutes left on the sandwich, so I got nothing else. So we needed to step it up a notch, and I would do that with an ice-type sandwich. Delibird has always held a little place in my heart, as it's one of the first Pokemon I ever saw, so Shiny Iron Bundle was up next. And I found an interesting strategy for them. So you may have seen this rock before, but did you know it could do this? If you stand on the right of the crystal, it kinda just poops out iron bundles in the same spot. This also works well for Iron Valiant. Makes it really easy to see the shiny when it happens. There, that is one. That is one for sure. And you know what I found surprisingly easy to see the shiny on? Bergmite. Maybe it's harder in a snowstorm, but the ice does actually change color quite a bit. And that Bergmite gave me the spurt of confidence I needed to hunt something difficult. I made a bug-type sandwich and went to the lake to look for a Scyther. The shiny barely changes, just a slight shade of green difference, and the fleshy parts turn pink. This hunt was going to require laser focus and extreme nerd-necking to make sure I wouldn't miss. Yeah, I found it in 2 minutes. And again, I was surprised at how easy it was to see. And well, with Scyther done, I switched over to the Sokorat Trail, which has a lot of bug types. But the only one I actually needed here was Heracross. I already found the others before this video. And still, within the first 10 minutes of the sandwich, I found the Heracross. Wasn't a female, unfortunately, but this is my first shiny Heracross, so that's fine. Then I went to the desert, and nothing else happened. I was feeling brave though, so I took on another hunt that I had been dreading with a poison-type sandwich, and that was for Varoom. From the side, every Varoom looks kinda gold, like it it could be the shiny form, but it's not. But I had an outbreak for Varoom, so I just KO'd the 60, and a little while later, I got the shiny. After that, I looked around for Ghastly, and later, Among Us, but I had no luck there. And that would be the end of day 1 of me doing this. 7 sandwiches, 11 shinies, not too bad. Time for day 2. Day 2 was Pokemon Day. So yeah, I started this a while ago, and I'm not sure what I was on for these first few sandwiches, but I wanted another challenge, so I went looking for a Ditto. Very brave of me, but you won't believe how lucky I was on this. Astronomically unlikely. Whoa, guys, slow down. And that's why I wanted him to slow down, because I thought I saw him as a shiny. Literally, the first Pokemon I saw was shiny. Oh, you thought I was gonna find a Ditto right away? Well, no. I wish. I spent the rest of the sandwich there and I didn't find anything. But after that, the Walking Wake and Iron Leaves event was ready to go, so I did that for a bit. I probably lose this. Wow. Are you okay? But then it was back to the mission, and Sandwich 9 was Fighting type. I started wandering up north and found a shiny Hariyama within seeing like 4 of those guys. Then I went for a super easy shiny to find, Crabrawler. Ever tried looking for red in the snow? Yeah, it was obvious. Both of those were in the first 10 minutes, then the rest of the sandwich gave me nothing. But that's just how a lot of them go, and I wish that's how the next sandwich went, but a flying type sandwich without getting absolutely anything. And that was now 50 minutes without a shiny. I was losing my mind. Imagine us saying that in any other generation. The next sandwich was rock type, and just minutes after wandering around Area 0, I found a shiny Knackley. This was cool and all, but I was here for an Iron Thorns. But see, I was doing this thing where I would do a different sandwich until a first 18 to hit every type, so electric here would have been much better, and I decided to come back when I can use that one again. I looked around for a shiny Rockruff after, but I just couldn't find one. I wasn't feeling particularly lucky to start the day, so with my next steel type sandwich, I went for the Bronzong Outbreak on my map, and it showed up pretty fast just as I was knocking out the 60th Bronzong for the outbreak. So I ventured out trying to find one of my favorite shiny Pokemon, Riolu and Lucario. I was up north where tons of Tinkatons spawned too, and I didn't have one of those yet either. And just a few minutes later, the Bronze Baguette herself showed up.
What?
I stuck around the area until the end of the sandwich, and just as time was running out, I found a shiny Caparaja. Still no Riolu or Lucario though. And I know what you guys are thinking, first it's Gardevoir and Gallade, and now Lucario? Sussy. But no, it's not like that. The 3 shinies on that sandwich gave me the guts to hunt Mimikyu on sandwich 13. Mimikyu is a huge troll because it only spawns in Tagtree Thicket and any amount of shade makes this thing look shiny. Did I miss one? Probably. I spent 20 minutes there, 10 minutes looking for Marils, and I got nothing. So I went to the opposite end of the spectrum, from Fairy to Dark type. I was going to places randomly, then decided to hunt a Pawniard. But of course, there's another Dark type that spawns in the Bamboo Forest, and that's Low-Kicks. So 2 Palmies, now 2 Low-Kicks. And I'm probably gonna find like 100 more of this thing before the next video. But that was it for that sandwich. And next up was gonna be Ghost type. I went looking in the Pentagram Cave for Sableye. This isn't the best place to look for it alone, because Greavard and Houndstone are here too. But I didn't have any of them yet, so it was fine. But to my surprise, about 10 minutes in, I found my shiny Sableye. So then I went to another location that I would dual hunt with Greavard, the mountain slopes, to find a Frostlass. If you watch Nokemon, you start liking the shiny. But too bad I didn't get one. But what did happen was the 12th Greavard or something, that was shiny. And then the rest of the sandwich was a bust. Not as much as the next sandwich though, which was a Psychic type. I found a shiny Espeon right away, but then looked at Gothitelle for a minute, was like, I'll never find this thing. And then I went to the ponds for a Hatterini, but still nothing. And then the bad luck continued as I did a ground type sandwich and got absolutely nothing. You may have noticed that I haven't gotten really lucky on a sandwich yet. Like sure, 3 shinies a couple times, but nothing amazing yet. And that would change with sandwich number 18, the final type I haven't done yet, Grass type, which is one of the types of the best Pokemon in existence, so you know it was going to be good. We don't have to talk about that other type though. But this sandwich was great, just take a look. Oh my god! Yeah. Let's go! Wow. That's it! Oh my god! Okay, it is a lot yellower. That was 5 grass types, all of whom I didn't have yet. And I know, how did I not have Deerling, Go-Goat, or Jumpluff yet? And I have a great answer to that. I don't know. Moving on, I went back to the electric type sandwich to finally try to get that iron thorns. Now this is what I'm talking about. Nothing but the green machines. Although we weren't looking for the green one, we were looking for the chrome dome. Took about 18 minutes, but I found it. Then I went back to Mandali to see if I could find something else there, and with 4 minutes to spare, I found a shiny Voltorb. An amazing shiny, one that I've never owned before. It was my childhood friend's first shiny though, and since we were by Mandali for the next sandwich, we were going to be living like Larry. But I wasn't going to be hunting here because I was looking for a Dunsparce. This isn't the easiest to spot because, you know, it's still mostly yellow, and yeah, I found one as soon as I walked out of the door. I hung around there to see if I could find another one, but after a while I gave up and wanted to look for a Cyclizar. But I made a slight miscalculation. Just about every normal type Pokemon spawns in that area, so I would need to come back here with a Dragon type sandwich for that. However, before I could even leave the area, I found something a little sus. Sussy? Sussy? With the lighting effects in this game, this and Starly are just impossible. But with nothing else on that sandwich, that was it for day 2.
Kloski, analysis.
From a sussy bird to a flightless bird, day 3's first sandwich was ice type, and I was gonna look for Ice Cube. I've hunted it before with no luck, and I found it in 40 seconds. Okay, well then I started hunting some stuff all over, and ended up doing town resets in Zapapico for a Citadel, but I didn't find it. Then I stayed in that area with a ground type sandwich looking for Mudbray. Didn't find that either. Then I tried printing Bagons again, and this time I successfully counterfeited one. Wait, maybe I shouldn't say counterfeited. FBI, it was a joke. I know Bagon is green like money, but it's not illegal, I swear. On to sandwich 24, a rock type, and it was pretty successful. I tried printing limits, but it didn't give me a shiny, but then I went to area 0 and found a Glamora, and with the rest of the sandwich I went to the mining area, finding a big mining cart and a little mining cart just before the sandwich ended. Then, number 25, I did a fire type sandwich thinking about Torkoal and staying in that same area, but since Roly-Coly is a fire type too, I ended up finding another one, getting me enough shinies for the evolution line in just about 10 minutes of sandwich time. With all that luck on that evolution line, I got cocky again, and I was going to take on one of the most upsetting shinies of all time, Charcadet. Whoever designed this shiny line, you have committed crimes against humanity. You couldn't have made them like all black, or at least swapped their colors around when they were shiny. But I made my way to this cliff. It's a good place to look for them, and you can zoom in and look at their eyes as they spawn in after picnic resets. But unfortunately for me, I would spend the rest of this sandwich and the entire next sandwich not getting a single shiny. Definitely went over odds on this thing, and this wasn't even the first time I've hunted for it. And then to add insult to injury, I messed up the next sandwich twice because I was using an incorrect recipe chart. But thankfully the game compensated for these things on the next sandwich. Steel type sandwich needed me an iron treads. Found one in exactly 2 minutes. Then I was maybe hoping to get some good meme material for a short by having a fortress explode on me, but the quick ball I threw caught it, so that didn't happen. Then I went to area 0 for a Corviknight and found it within seeing 20 of them. So this sandwich was a nice bounce back. And fortunately, the luck continued with a flying type sandwich on number 28. It was time for another Paradox Pokemon, and I would get an Iron Jugulis within 8 minutes. And I got Iron Bundle earlier, but I never got a regular Delibird, so I went and did that. Delibird is such a friend. Look at this friend. Look at this friend. Then I went north to the coast and found a shiny Kilowattrel in 30 seconds. That's 2 sandwiches with 3 shinies back to back. Unfortunately, this just kinda evens out with the ones I got 0 on. And I wish the luck continued for the next ones, but it did not. I ran around the lake with a fairy type sandwich for a shiny Marill or Azumarill, which took about 24 minutes. I then thought, well, since I have 5 of the 7 Paradox Pokemons during this so far, I should probably go ahead and get one of each of the shinies during this. But I would spend the rest of sandwich 29 looking for Iron Valiant. Nothing. I spent sandwich 30 looking for Iron Valiant. Still nothing. The game was just compensating for the full odds one I found in the last video. And finally, on sandwich 31, I found a shiny. But it wasn't Iron Valiant.
Alright, this is the final straw. Iron Valiants, send me your shiny leader. Or else, I'm going to kill every last one of you here. Give me the shiny, or I kill all of... What the frick?
I guess Chansey is the leader of the... of the Iron Valiants? Does that make any sense? So yeah, this was the first full-on shiny I found during this. I'm kinda surprised because I find full-on shinies like all the time when I'm just walking around the overworld. But thankfully I wouldn't have to wait too long before finding the Iron Valiant. Though I would have to sell my soul to get it.
What is it that you want to hear? I will say that you are the best Pokemon. ever. Alright, I will give up Rowlet's throne. You might want to think about it. For the rest of... okay, I guess they win.
I'm sorry, Rowlet. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I just didn't want to go 2 full sandwiches without a shiny. You know I would never give you up. I would never let you down. I would never run around and desert you. Moving on to the next sandwich, with Iron Valiant acquired, we had one more Paradox shiny to get, Iron Hands. In utilizing Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I got one in 7 minutes, and that means getting one of every Paradox Pokemon was complete. So I moved on to a cool shiny I never got before, Mareep. It did take until the final few minutes of the electric type sandwich we were on, but I was able to snag one. And after that, I found a shiny Cyclizar in less than 2 minutes on the next sandwich. Then I went up north, looking for Axew with a side of Swablu and Altaria, and I managed to find not 1, but 2 shiny Swablus. Though I already had shiny Altaria, and I didn't really need an extra Swablu like that, but hey, a shiny is a shiny. The next sandwich was poison type, and this is when I took to the strategy I ended up using a lot. Doing the picnic resets on a directly flat surface, or at least one you can see everywhere around you, it'll make everything spawn in a really nice circle, so you just have to look around the circle. If there's no shiny, picnic reset again. The beach outside Levincia is a nice spot for that. Though I was unlucky with it, it took until the end of my sandwich to get my Marini. But I was enjoying my vacation on the beach, and I whipped up a ghost type sandwich for a Sandygast, and I only needed 2 picnic resets to get that one. See, the luck evened out over there, and we went from Florida to Canada, going back to the mountainside for Frostlass again, only to find another ghost dog. But it was fine, that was only 4 minutes after the burned sand pile. Then I went hunting for a shiny Bramblin, which was made really easy by the mechanic it has with sandstorms. Bramblin will blow away in sandstorms, but not if they're shiny. Or in my case, mine spawned in right after the sandstorm ended. I'm not sure if that's how it normally works, or if that's just how mine happened to go. But hey, that was 3 shinies on that sandwich. And let's do a quick recap. So far, that's 55 shinies in 35 sandwiches. That's not too bad. If I could keep that up, that's a pretty good rate. But obviously, I haven't been going for just sheerly huge number of shinies and repeat shinies, and I've done some pretty hard ones. Like this next one, Tauros. Let's play a game. The shiny is in this pack of Tauros right here. You have 2 seconds. Can you tell who it is? Too bad, you're wrong. None of these were shiny. And if you saw the short before this, you cheated. 23 minutes in, I was only even able to tell this one was shiny because the nose on the shiny is lighter than the rest of the face. But I found it, and that's all that matters. But boy, am I never doing that again. I would much rather watch the grass grow. It's a lot less stressful. Speaking of grass, I went looking for a particular grass type in Sokarat Trail, and it was fungus, so I used a poison type sandwich to find it. Took me about 8 minutes, and then there was nothing else on the rest of that sandwich. But we had a decent haul from the day, and with that, we were at the end of day 3. To start day 4, I went back to looking for the Charcadets, and I finally found one, thankfully not too deep into the sandwich. And I had enough time to head to the Bamboo Forest, where I would find the Lady of Paldea, the counterpart to the Hisuian Arcanine I got in the last video. Next up, I used a normal sandwich looking for a Yungoos. But don't use the cave at the beginning of the game for this, because half of your spawns are going to be eaten up by fletchlings and lechonks that are spawning on the grassy area above the cave instead of being Yungoos inside of the cave. So you'll probably fail some shinies here without even knowing. And partially because I wasted time here, and potentially failing a shiny, I didn't find anything on that sandwich. Then I went on the hunt for a Shroomish because Breloom would have Spore, which is just oh so much better than Hypnosis. I swear to God, on every other shiny, Gallade would miss 3 Hypnosis in a row. I even gave him a wide lens to help out, and he still just sucked. And unfortunately, I didn't find a shiny Shroomish. I found a shiny Skiploom though. Woo. Sandwich number 41, ground type sandwich, was determined to get me a Toadstool or Cruel. And it was Cruel because I got nothing on this sandwich. But I was going to be stubborn, and the next one was ground type too. I ended up using picnic resets at the top of the rock thing here, quite effective. And being stubborn does pay off sometimes, because I got it in the next 3 minutes. And then seeing as we had a ground type sandwich, I went for everyone's favorite axolotl, Wooper. Let me play my reaction for you. Wow. Wow. Pretty sure this was the first of many reactions where all I could say was, wow. But that was likely just the fatigue of me doing this for several days at this point, but the fatigue wore off a bit on the next one, as literally the first group of Mudbray I saw had a shiny. Wow, holy. After that, it was time for sandwich 43, the psychic type. By this point, I 100% didn't really know what to hunt most of the time, so huge shout out to Philly Beatsu's Shiny Locations videos. I would have been so lost without those, honestly. I had that like permanently open on a tab while I was doing this. Anyway, I was looking for Veluza for a while, then I went and looked for Spoink and got it in 3 minutes, so I went back to Veluza and found one pretty quick, though I did have some difficulties actually getting to start a battle with it. We have 64 shinies so far. Make it die. Oh god. Oh god, no. No. Let me out. Let me out. I've looked for it before because it's green and I like green, so nice to finally get one. Next up was a bug type sandwich, and I still don't have a shiny Nimble somehow, but after a few minutes of looking, I gave up. Maybe that's why I don't have one. Good thing I did though, because I found a shiny Relor less than a minute after going to the desert. And I also really wanted a shiny Larvesta, cause then I would have both Larvesta and Volcarona. And this Larvesta showed up with only 1 second left on the sandwich. A buzzer beater that even Steph Curry would be proud of. So the next shiny was kind of a weird one. I'm just gonna play the clip. Actually, is that one the right shiny? Of course not. Why would you think a Slowpoke is shiny? With the power of anime and nerd necking, I was able to find this shiny. But you cannot tell me that you knew this was shiny right away. Beyond impossible. Yet, somehow, I found 3 shiny Slowpokes because I'm a nerd neck. And a real nerd may have been keeping track of how many shinies I've gotten so far. Yeah, boy. Number 69 incoming. Who's it gonna be? Oh, And with the power of compatibility on my side, I took another painful shiny hunt on with the next sandwich, Zorua. The good news with this hunt is you can get 100% Zorua. The bad news is just like Ditto, you can't see the shiny in the overworld. So I probably missed one because I didn't find one. Then I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I went looking for another Dunsparce. And I found one in a weird spot. I was going back to the regular areas from the rock, and I found it on this ledge. And I hung around for a while longer, seeing if I could find another one, and I did. I still had plenty of time left on the sandwich, so I went looking for a Zangoose. And with about a minute left, I was able to find one and shove it in a great ball. 3 shinies, not a bad sandwich. Sandwich 48 would prove to be the start of one of the worst hunts of this challenge. It was a rock-type sandwich, and I started off looking for one of the best Gen 9 shinies, Cloth. I spent about 20 minutes in the area and found nothing. So then I went up north to look for Lycanroc, and I didn't find anything on that sandwich. Being stubborn, I made another rock-type sandwich and kept looking for Lycanroc, and I was able to find the midday form in about 7 minutes. And then I went back to Cloth. And still nothing. With about 5 minutes left, I went to Area 0 looking for Lycanroc Midnight and found nothing. So I decided to leave the rock types alone for now, having only found 1 shiny on 2 sandwiches. And the bad luck would continue, with the next flying type sandwich giving me absolutely nothing. And on that flying type sandwich, I was looking for Murkrow or Honchkrow, as I would have both if I found one. Then I looked to see if we could maybe get another Iron Jugulus, but nothing. The next sandwich I went looking for a Curlia near Lavencia, because I still didn't have a shiny Gardevoir, and my Gallade was feeling pretty lonely. But it wasn't quite daytime yet, so other Pokemon were spawning. And you know what ended up happening? Encounter Power Fairy. Where are my frickin' Curlias? Are you? You know what's even funnier about this is the exact situation where I found my first shiny Murkrow. It just happened on the other side of the map, but it was on a psychic type sandwich while I was looking for my shiny Gallade. So I have 2 full-odd shiny Murkrows on the wrong sandwiches. Yet I didn't find a shiny when I was hunting it just before this. But surely that wouldn't happen again. Right? I didn't even keep hunting in Lavencia after this anyway. I went to Paldea's highest peak, where you can spawn families of Gardevoir and Ralts. I feel like this is more comfortable to me as you're looking in a more concentrated area, and you can picnic reset opposite from the sign for maximum visibility. And a while later I found a shiny Ralts. And it's still a Ralts, and you'll see why later. Sandwich 52 was a fire type, and I went to the mountains to look for Pyroar and Litleo. But I wouldn't find one after 15 minutes, and I felt a change of scenery was necessary. And I was right, I found a shiny Talonflame right away in Area 0. Next up I noticed that there was a Frostlass outbreak, so it was time for a ghost type sandwich. It took about 20 minutes, and then one Frostlass actually made sure that I would find the shiny. I could have totally missed that if that was a shiny right there. But thankfully that one was. Oh my god. The guardian angel that was that Frostlass. We salute your sacrifice. And with the rest of the sandwich, I would clear out a ghastly outbreak. And I got one just in time for a buzzer beater. But just one thing, a ghastly at this level knows curse. Obviously a shiny killing itself is not ideal. So after seeing that, I hucked a master ball at it right away. And if you don't remember, I wasn't saving before these shinies. But I do have heal pulse on my Glade, so I could have maybe used that instead. See if it did curse next turn. If it used curse next turn, then throw a master ball. Or just suck it up and use a repeat ball, because it would have been like a 90% catch rate. But you know what? We're not going to worry about it. Sandwich 54, ice type sandwich. It was finally time for me to get my Citadel, and within 5 minutes I found one. Then I looked for snow runts because I want a shiny Glalie, even though the shiny is trash. But I had no luck, partially because of how many places they can get stuck in the walls here. Then I started looking for fairies and found a shiny bread dog. Though I was kind of upset about it because I evolved my Fido and now I have 2 Dachsbun, and that was my last shiny of the day. And day 5 would prove to be a challenging one. So gamers, you're this far in the video, and I have a question for you. How are you still not subscribed yet? I spent nearly every minute of the past 5 days writing the script, recording the audio, editing this video, and yet you still didn't hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? Do it! When I loaded up my Switch on day 5, it was time to take on a shiny hunting YouTuber's biggest fear, shiny Finizen. I had an outbreak for them and took it as a sign for me to try to get one. But here's the thing, even though it's a super obvious shiny, a couple of shiny hunting YouTubers have failed this one. For some reason, both Shiny Catherine and Nokimon have failed this. But would I fail one too? No. Probably just because I got lucky, having knocked out my 60th Finizen when one spawned in behind me. So no curse of the shiny Finizen in this video. I guess there's still a chance if I try to get one for a shiny living dex or something, but I got my first one, that's all that counts. And you know another, like, super common Pokemon that somehow I didn't have shiny yet? Psyduck and Golduck. It sounds impossible, I know. These things are everywhere, but I legitimately had not found one. I obviously wanted a Psyduck, but I also kinda wanted Golduck out of spite. So I did a Psyduck outbreak with the rest of the sandwich, and I still didn't find one. But I was so determined I made another sandwich for it. And after 20 minutes of still not finding one in the outbreak odds, I gave up and went to Area 0 and still found nothing. But that would not even be close to the end of my pain on day 5. The next sandwich was bug type, and it gave me a whole lot of nothing. Thousands of Pokemon now, without seeing a shiny. So for sandwich 59, I turned to Dunsparce out of desperation to find a shiny. And 13 minutes into the sandwich, I found one. And literally a single minute later, I found another one. That definitely lifted my spirits and provided the emotional support I needed. And this would happen a lot today, but you'll see. The next sandwich continued the luck, as I would find a shiny Camerupt 5 minutes in. And later in the sandwich, I would find a shiny female Hippo. Number 60 was Steel type, and I'd only find another Copperajah with a minute left on the sandwich, which upset me a little bit because I still don't have a shiny Koofant. And then the same thing happened on the next sandwich, but with a Pawniard. I was still looking for Lucario or Riolu, but I was just not getting it. And for a third sandwich in a row, I wouldn't get a shiny until the final minutes of it. But this one was a Dragon type sandwich, and I got myself a Dratini. I was using the Mountain Pool here for resets, and I figured I'd go ahead and try to get a Misdrevious or Dragapult evolution line here. So with my Ghost sandwich, I kept resetting here, only to find absolutely nothing. Several sandwiches have failed, and most sandwiches that were giving me shinies only gave me one, and I was not feeling great with how things were going. And in these desperate times, I once again turned to the only Pokemon that could help, Dunsparce. And yet again, I would not only find one, but 2 shiny Dunsparce just minutes apart from each other. So day 5 is the day of the Dunsparce. It was feeling like this was the only Pokemon I even knew how to shiny hunt for, and if I didn't find a shiny on a prior sandwich, I could rely on Dunsparce to be there for me. And unfortunately, I still had some failed sandwiches in store for me. For sandwich 66, we went back to the rock types. First, Midnight Form Lycanroc, then Cloth, and I found nothing. I was getting extremely heated that I wasn't at least finding a shiny Knackley next to the Cloths, and trust me, I went back and checked. To the best of my knowledge, I did not get a shiny at all to spawn on these rock sandwiches. I wasn't quite at Crybaby status about this yet though, and I would hunt a Crybaby for the next sandwich, Toxel, which I found in about 2 minutes. And I was actually just picking up some items at the time I found it. Definitely wasn't expecting to find it that fast, especially with how the day was going. But of course, on the rest of the sandwich, I wouldn't get anything, and I was still feeling a little down about that, so I turned to Dunsparce yet again for emotional support. But this time, 5 minutes turned to 10, 10 to 20, and soon enough, the entire sandwich had gone by, and still no Dunsparce. Even Dunsparce had left me. This was the first normal type sandwich of the day that didn't give me a shiny Dunsparce. This feeling of despair was far greater than any of the other sandwich fails, and it was like Dunsparce broke up with me. However, something weird happened. Something had possessed me to just walk back to the teleporter to go make the next sandwich instead of flying out of there. And in the wise words of Avatar Roku, when love is real, it finds a way. In the most cosmically scripted turn of events ever, I found the emotional support Dunsparce I needed, and somehow this felt the most supportive out of all of them, probably just because of how insanely lucky this was to find in the first place. But you guys, we're getting distracted here. Do you even know what sandwich number we're on? Yeah, boy, sandwich number 69. Nice. What Pokemon is it going to be? And that would be the last sandwich of the day, thus ending the day of the Dunsparce. It is now day 6. Day 5 was just kinda meh, while day 6 would start off terrible. Sandwich 70 and 71 gave me absolutely nothing. Then Sandwich 72, I was seeking some emotional support, but I didn't find a Dunsparce for it, just a giraffe. Not the same if you ask me. Then Sandwich 73 was back to absolutely nothing. What is going on here? I found one shiny in 4 sandwiches. On that last one, there was even outbreaks and I still found nothing. I was shooting for an average of 1.5 shinies per sandwich, but day 5 and 6 were so absolutely atrocious that was most certainly not going to happen. If only I had someone to turn to for emotional support. That's right. Impidimp. Oh, you thought I was gonna find another Dunsparce? Well, nah, it's no longer the day of the Dunsparce. Like, come on, how foolish of you. Impidimp was real quick and it left me enough time to find a Meryl on the same sandwich. Isn't Meryl such a friend Pokemon, guys? Just all friendly. And almost as round as Rowlet is. On the next sandwich, I finished up a Clawitzer outbreak from a previous sandwich, then found a shiny Wugtrio a few minutes later. With number 76, I wanted to find a shiny Combi, but I bailed on that just in time to find a Tarantula, instead of the Scatterbug I was actually looking for. And for 77, I didn't know what to do, so I went and found another Dunsparce. But for 78, I had a mission for that one. It was going to be Riolu. Riolu, you are going to be mine. It's been 3 sandwiches now, just come on, let me catch you. And you could kinda tell I was getting sick of hunting for it by now. I will be sad. I think that is a shiny Cofans. Finally, I have found this Coupant, and if she's a girl, I'll name her Ashley. Ashley, yeah, you're still Ashley, I guess. But not to worry, I would find my Riolu just a few minutes later. Yes! Finally. He's a shrimp too! Look at him! Look at him, he's so tiny! There's a that's what she said joke in there somewhere. Next up, I was still looking for that Shroomish, and I found a shiny Go-Goat in record time. Literally just packed up the picnic. And I'd look for a Shroomish a bit and give up, and then found a shiny Skiddo. And it was kinda like the Go-Goat was her dad, had the same nature and everything. Then, a couple minutes later, heading back to a Shroomish spot, I found another shiny Pokemon. But I'm actually genuinely surprised I didn't despawn this thing, as it was real close. Then for Sandwich 80, I went looking for Tatsugiri. So there were several comments on the last video where I was at the lake and people were like, that's a shiny Tatsugiri, but it wasn't actually shiny, that was just the lighting. And I maybe was projecting a little bit. That is shiny. See, look at that. You can see it immediately. You guys start doing that look like that guy in the background here, shiny. Nah, look at that. You can see it easily. What I also want to project is my anger, for this sandwich started a 6 sandwich streak of only finding 1 shiny on them, and this was even though we went from day 6 to day 7 in the process. But the bad luck was only continuing. Number 86 gave me nothing. Number 87 gave me a shiny Dreadnought at the end, and I decided to reset for a Cloth outbreak, because at this point I had already spent about 2 or 3 sandwiches worth of time looking for this thing at this point, so I felt there was really no way I was going to get one without an outbreak. And even with me doing the smarter thing, thing where I knocked out the cloths and then did the outbreak, it still took me a full 2 more sandwiches to find it. And what's even crazier still is that I did not find a shiny Knackley at all in this process. Like, I would have been fine and completely mentally stable if I found a Knackley, but no, not a single shiny in this area until like the 5th sandwich worth of time. With that, I feel like I had to have missed some shiny at some point, but I never saw one, so I can't really confirm that. After a quick dip to grab another Dunsparce, sandwich 91 would be where I would finally find my Psyduck. The blue shinies were finally showing up for me, because apparently that's another YouTuber curse. However, what isn't cursed is what happened in these last few sandwiches. So we can probably agree that my luck the past couple of days was pretty bad. I filled nearly an entire box of shinies on day 2, but needed over 2 days for a box recently. But Sandwich 92 would start a string of oddly good luck. Not necessarily a crazy amount of volume of shinies, but interesting ones. And it all started with a psychic type sandwich. I went to the desert looking for shiny Flittle, and to my surprise I found one pretty quickly. And what happened next, some of you have already seen. One of the rarest occurrences that will always get your heart racing. Two! This was the first time this has ever happened to me, and this took about 320-ish hours of Scarlet and Violet for this to happen to me. And it makes sense that it would take about this long. On sandwich shiny odds, this is roughly 1 in 26,000, and I had definitely seen over that many Pokemon at this point. But to have them actually spawn in one after the other and right next to each other, that was crazy. And with the Flittle I caught earlier, it was like they were a happy shiny family. I guess sometimes Dad comes back with the milk after all. Definitely one of the coolest things to happen to me playing Pokemon. But on to the next sandwich. 93 was pretty normal. I found an Earthworm and nothing else. But sandwich 94, that was another weird one. It was a fighting type sandwich and I was looking for Breloom or Primeape spawns, but it turned to nighttime, and you know there's a particular Pokemon that can spawn during nighttime.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so remember when I said surely that wouldn't happen again? Well, it happened again. Somehow, against all odds, I have found not 1, not 2, but 3 shiny Murkrow while on a different sandwich looking for something else. Yet when I actually had a sandwich for it active, I didn't find one. But honestly, just the sheer stupidity of these spawns is something to behold. And what was also a sight to behold was what would happen on my next 2 sandwiches. For sandwich 94, I decided to look for Oricorio. And again, some of you have probably seen this already, and you know how it took me like 320 hours to get a double shiny spawn? Hey. Is that? There's 2. There's 2, but they're too far away from each other. I'm saving here because I want them both. So yeah, I got another one. But they were too far apart, so I had to keep resetting until they walked toward each other. Took about 15 minutes, but finally they would be close enough to each other where the other one wouldn't despawn. So I threw my Master Ball at one, went to the other, and was able to save them both. But wait, hang on a second. You used another Master Ball. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why you trade your cousin a shiny Pokemon for their Lechonk holding a Master Ball. Way better than them using it on some static legendary that you just can save scum until you catch. But in order to save these guys, I had to bail on 15 minutes of my sandwich, but that actually ended up being alright, because this is what happened on the next sandwich.
Wow, that was fast.
It looks like I'm just getting all the Oricorios today.
Are you serious?
Oricorio loves me, dude. Hey, look at that. I kind of forgot how fast.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
What is this sandwich, dude?
Oh wait, that's a Pyroar.
This sandwich went a ham.
Although it didn't have ham on it. Wow. Oh my god.
6. So a couple things. 1, that was 6 shinies on one sandwich. 2, those last 4 shinies were in like 8 minutes or something. And 3, those 2 Oricorio were in the first 5 minutes. Which meant I found all 4 shiny Oricorio I'd need to complete the dex of them. And that was all in like 20 minutes of game time. On real time it was more like 40 minutes because of the resetting to save the first 2. But that has to be a world record for the fastest anyone has found the complete shiny Oricorio dex. And all this luck was on back-to-back sandwiches. And before you scream YouTube luck, just remember, the past couple days of me doing stuff was just alright. I earned this luck, darn it. My next sandwiches would not be able to top that though. On 97, I found a young goose and gumshoes, this time using that cave with the Taragar chomp in it. On 98, I found a Gumi and a stretchy Tatsugiri, and on sandwich 99, I found nothing, and it was now the final countdown. Sandwich 100, the last 30 minutes of shiny hunting. I went back to where this whole thing began, an electric type sandwich outside of Medali. And this one had some very similar things happen to it with sandwich number 1. I again found 2 shinies on this sandwich. I found a Jolteon just after I started looking for one, and the final shiny of the 100 sandwiches, I found the first shiny. It was another Palmy. Quite the poetic ending. Returning to your roots can sometimes bring you happiness, or in this case, shiny Pokemon. So I'm sure you're probably still wondering on the overall stats here. All in all, these 100 sandwiches got me 134 shiny Pokemon. If somebody else thinks they're up to the task of 100 sandwiches, I would love to see somebody who isn't a nerd neck playstyle do this. I'm curious if you're more carefree, maybe it leads to more shinies, but probably more shiny fails as well. Because to my knowledge, I didn't actually fail one. The only one I would have failed would have been those Oricorios if I would have stuck to the rules and not saved there, but there was no way I wasn't going to catch both of a double shiny. But 1.34 shinies per sandwich on average I don't think is that bad. But you might also be wondering how many were marked, and did I find a shiny Dunsparce 3 segment? Let me just play my live reaction to it for you. Alright, it is time to mark stuff and evolve stuff. Dearling, the rare mark. Jumpluff. Lunchtime. Jumpluff the peckish. Voltorb. Voltorb the sociable. Dunsparce the recluse. That should be Staravia the sussy. Sleepy time mark. Glimora the sociable. Meryl the sociable. Growlithe the early riser. Ghastly the peckish. The Master Bald. The Master Bald Ghastly. Citadel with the early riser. Okay. Dratini the sociable. Pumped up. Toxel the driven. Haven't seen that one before at all. I knew the Gardevoir the sociable because I had to go evolve it. Clawvitzer. 0 energy mark. Dreadnought the sociable. Cloth the sleepy. What was making me sleep was trying to find this thing. Psyduck the sleepy. Right? Surely. Yes. The scowling mark. The stern. There we go. Those are all the marks. 2 segment. Okay. Nope. Okay. 2 segment. 2 segment. 2 segment. Okay. Nope. Okay. Nope. Okay. 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 This is the moment of truth here. Is our Dunsparce the Recluse a 3 segment shiny? No. Okay. We'll keep it a Dunsparce. That would have been insane. That would have been so wild. So yeah, I didn't get that 3 segment, and unfortunately the rare Mark 1 wasn't a 3 segment Dunsparce. I would have lost it. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's free to do, and it would help me do more of this in the future. And joining the Discord is also free. You can check that out down below. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can support me with a channel membership. I did enable those. You'll get your name at the end of the videos and some cool perks for helping me out. And much of that would go right back into the channel. I've already spent most of my ad revenue on getting a second Switch and getting a copy of Pokemon Scarlet for the next big video. But if not, no worries. Being subscribed and liking the videos is more than enough already. But I have been Trevor, I go by Trails, and I will catch you guys next time. You read the title correctly. Once again, I armed myself with over 200 Herba Mystica and made 100 shiny sandwiches in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But this time, in the Teal Mask DLC. How many shinies would I get? How good was the average sandwich? How good was the best sandwich? Well, let's find out. First and foremost, I wanted to complete the DLC on both of the save files I'd be doing this on. And there won't be any spoilers here, don't worry. But just know that if you go to complete the story and you have the shiny charm, you're probably gonna find 3 random shiny Pokemon. Because that happened both times. That's a shiny Bonsley. What the are you kidding me? What the? Dude! What do I brother man. Are you kidding me, bro? Are you freaking kidding me, bro? Oh my god, dude. After the story, I made sure to complete the Pokedex, for which I did a whole living dex of the new Pokemon, just like my last video, during which I found yet another shiny. Are you kidding me, bro? Between completing the DLC both times and the living dex, it took about 14 hours. With that complete though, we can finally play the real game, shiny hunting. Just like last time, we're doing one sandwich of each type to start our 100 sandwiches. We begin with a ghost type sandwich hunting in the timeless woods in the northeast of the map. This will let you hunt Mimikyu, which I still didn't have, and some Pokemon new to the DLC, Phantom and Trevenant at any time of day, with Litwick and Lampent spawning at nighttime. I bet you guys are all primed and ready for all this YouTube luck, this streamer luck that is about to happen. Surely I'm about to find 10 shinies on the first sandwich, right? Well, no, unfortunately. I did not find a single shiny on the first sandwich. And like last time, these sandwiches will again be hardcore. No saving in front of shinies, and no resetting the sandwich if you don't get any shinies on it. Gotta keep that Sigma male mindset. Part of the reason I didn't find any shinies on this first sandwich though is that Game Freak made shiny hunting in the DLC as annoying as possible. Exhibit A, this forest. There's not a single good picnic reset spot that's not obscured by a tree or bush in some way, which would have definitely been preferred, particularly while streaming so you can catch up on chat during the resetting. Exhibit B, Litwick. You would say that the flame's color change is decently obvious, right? But here's the thing, from far away, the flame is like 2 pixels, so you still have to zoom in to be able to tell most of the time. And as a proud nerdneck, i.e. has to make 100% sure every Pokemon spawned around me isn't shiny, this adds a lot of extra time onto the shiny hunting. And because of this nerdnecking, a lot of unnecessary time was added to the next hunt for Jangmo O. When you're a nerdneck, your brain wants to say, but the original still has yellow on it, so I gotta make sure. So I was going a little bit slow, but there's absolutely zero chance you're going to miss this thing when it spawns in, unless you're just not even looking at the screen. With Jangmo O captured, that's our first shiny of these 100 sandwiches, which also has pink in the shiny, just like the first shiny from our original video, Palmy. This shiny was named Mayday, one of my Twitch mods who absolutely loves pink shinies. More on that later. I hunted for a second Jangmo O with the rest of the sandwich, but didn't find anything. Time for sandwich 3, a normal type sandwich. I found a nice picnic reset spot by signboard 1, which gave me nothing but Sentrets during nighttime. There is a better spot for this hunt, but seeing as this is still only day 2 of the DLC to this point, all of the best shiny hunting locations weren't known just yet, which sadly means no Philly Beatsu videos to help me out. I missed you, Philly. I missed you. I stuck around for another one to evolve into Furret, but alas, my YouTube luck was not quite on point. Then with the 4th sandwich, I would hunt the one, the only, shiny Pooch. Except we can actually catch this one, but I'd gotten a little tired of this reset spot, so I would start walking around, which ended up making me search for a shiny Mightyena instead. I'd eventually find it, but again, that was all I was able to find on this sandwich. And this was the last sandwich of the day, ending with a shiny to sandwich ratio of 0.75. It's not terrible, but we'd like to get better. Surely it's going to get better, right? Right? Wowzers! It's the first full day of shiny hunting in the DLC. You might be wondering, how long did it take to get all of the Herba Mystica you needed for this? The answer? A long time. You know what doesn't take a long time? Liking the video. That's right, I'm doing this again. Also, make sure you're subscribed. It takes less than 2 seconds, it really helps me out, and you can always change your mind later. While a lot of the DLC hunts are pretty cursed, it did make the hunts for some Pokemon better. Like Mimikyu. I'm willing to bet there's quite a few of you who've hunted for Mimikyu a few times, even with an outbreak in Lagtree Thicket. But with every Mimikyu that stands under a tree looking shiny, it's definitely easy to say, screw this, I'm gonna get another Gardevoir for the waifu collection. Enter the mountain. I kinda have a love-hate relationship with the mountain texture here. On one hand, this color, especially in the sunlight, just kinda hurts to look at for extended periods of time. On the other hand, there are no trees, so I was actually able to see a real color change on this shiny Mimikyu. But let me tell you exactly why they chose this color for the mountain texture. Exhibit C, Slugma. Slugma. I'm convinced they wanted to make shiny Slugma as hard to find as possible, just for the sake of avoiding more Slugma jokes. And in certain lighting conditions, it's literally impossible to see against this texture. Case in point, I failed my first shiny Slugma. Let's see if you can spot it. This was all streamed on Twitch, by the way, and literally only one person in chat saw it. When that happens, I tell them to show me the clip because I usually just don't believe them, because surely more than one person would spot it. And even after they showed me the clip, I still didn't see it. It was only even on screen for a little over a second. Shout out Ramen has the eyes of a hawk. This shiny fail would have been far more tragic if I didn't finally start getting lucky on this sandwich, because only a few minutes later I would immediately spot the shiny in some better lighting, appropriately named Slugma Nuts. I almost failed another shiny here, but thankfully I had looked at the non-shiny directly next to it, appropriately named Mag Cargo D. Real talk though, if they're trying to avoid Slugma Nuts jokes, then why are they level 69?
Nice.
So there were 3 shinies on the sandwich, just failing 1. With that, we've done Ghost, Dragon, Normal, Dark, Fairy, and Fire sandwiches. Continuing the one of every type, I moved to Ground type for the next sandwich. For everyone's favorite groundwater type, Wooper. This time, it's Jotonian. I was doing a picnic reset in the starting river, but I'd find a better place to do this hunt later. Even still, it only took a few minutes to find. And wouldn't you know, I got it to stay in a love ball. I stuck around to maybe find another one, but no luck there. Next up, I hunted the Pikachu you have at home, Morpeko. Better shiny than Pikachu's though, in my opinion, but I still wasn't able to find it, wasting that electric type sandwich. So I tried my luck with the fighting type sandwich. Timber is really easy to isolate near the 3rd signboard, and I actually used a Conkeldurr for my team in the first playthrough of the DLC, so I thought it was only fitting to be my first fighting type hunt. After finding the shiny, Milo got some treats for being a good boy. I looked for another one for a little bit, then was about to wander around trying to find Mienfoo. Instead, I found a green monkey. Like, why are the shinies I'm getting really lucky with only the ones that were already in the base game? I guess except for Slugma. Alright, we're done with that for a while. Case in point though, on the next rock type sandwich, just look at what happened. Alright, sandwich number 10 starts now. Random rock ruff before fast travel? Are you freaking kidding me? Ain't no way, dude, man, brother, man. This was actually pretty welcome though, because I didn't quite have the living dex for this line just yet. The real target of the sandwich though was Nosepass, who I would unfortunately not find, but I did at least find my favorite picnic reset spot for this area, in the middle of the divot on the right side here. Pretty easy to see everything that spawns in, and a really chill hunting location. I got a delivery for a future video in the meantime as well. Next up I made a grass type sandwich, and just kinda started wandering around looking for a good hunting location to do. There's this one platform north of the mountainside that'll spawn nothing but Lotads with the grass sandwich. I was able to find one pretty quickly, but sticking around for another once again yielded no luck. I'd end up finally getting lucky with another DLC Pokemon on a bug type sandwich. Just outside the town, I'd get a shiny Spinarak 1 minute into the sandwich, and then it took about 3 minutes to find the next one to complete the evolution line. If you're struggling to find yours though, you can actually isolate it near the river here, at least during this time of day. And while I got lucky with that, I still just wouldn't find anything else for the rest of the sandwich. So time for sandwich 13, flying type sandwich. I hunted Hoot Hoot and Noctowl until it turned daytime. Out in the open here because the Hoot Hoot cave wasn't quite widespread knowledge yet, then just wandered around the gorge, hoping for a Vullaby or a Ducklet, but I just didn't find anything. Seeing as it was daytime now, I was reminded of the daytime only spawn Ducklet. With the water type sandwich, I'd look for the discount Quaxley, but once it turned nighttime, I would turn to the river where I'd end up finding a shiny Poliwag, which is a really cursed Pokemon to hunt here, because pretty much every one of them that looks directly at you will look shiny, depending on the lighting. Turns out this one actually was shiny though. I don't exactly need it because I do have a ton of them from Pokemon Go. Nothing else on that sandwich. On the next sandwich, I went poison type, and I thought I got really lucky. So it's just darker purple, I think. Oh my god. Wait, what? This isn't shiny? How'd I get debated so hard? What? Even though we're not hunting in Area 0 anymore, we're still not safe from the crystal reflection trolls. Though remember, I did actually find a shiny one here during the DLC story. The real goal in coming up to the mountain here though was coughing. And here is Exhibit D of Game Freak just trying to make shiny hunting as annoying as possible in the DLC. Oh my god, explosion. No. Explosion and memento? I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. That is one risky shiny. Now, before you get mad about this Master Ball, remember, I'm not saving before the shinies here, and considering this thing has a 50% chance to kill itself if whatever ball I used failed, I think this is probably the best Pokemon to use a Master Ball on. You can alternatively build a Pokemon with the ability Damp, like Golduck, and teach it Taunt so it can't do either of these things, but I didn't have such a Pokemon made just yet, and Coughing can also have neutralizing gas, which would mean it still would be able to use Explosion. While a Quick Ball would give me a really good chance at catching it, I'm pretty against shoving every shiny in a Quick Ball. I do somewhat want the ball to match, unless it's like my 5th one of them. I would look around for something else on this sandwich, but poison types are pretty hard to isolate from Spinarak. What's exceptionally easy to isolate though is Swinub. Going with an ice type sandwich, this is the only new ice type evolution line in the DLC, and I didn't even really need this either because of PLA. I even have a shiny Alpha Swinub, but in the interest of making a sandwich of every type, I went for it. Didn't take too long to find, but I would again only find one. There's also only one psychic type evolution line that's new with the DLC, and that's Chingling and Chimecho, which I actually don't have in PLA somehow, even though I've definitely looked for it. But for Scarlet and Violet, this shiny kinda sucks. It's a very small change on the tail from red to orange. They say size doesn't matter, but Exhibit E. A lot of the Pokemon in the DLC are really small, so it makes this hunt that much harder, and it takes a lot longer to check if each Pokemon is shiny. So alas, there was no shiny on this sandwich. And to end the day, as well as the one sandwich of every type, we'd have sandwich number 18, the Steel type sandwich. But here's the thing, there's no Steel types. Lucario, Earthworm, Bronzor, Bronzong, Pawniard, Bisharp, and King Gambit are all in the base game. And Probopass, the one Steel type that was added to the Kitakami Pokedex, doesn't spawn in the wild, so I just looked for Pawniard. I was hoping to find a better place to hunt for it than in the forest, and in doing so, I found a random shiny Oricorio. Ah yes, Oricorio, my favorite Steel type. This is our first unboosted shiny, and I won't be incorrect in saying that like the last video. But that wraps up day 2. 14 shinies on 14 sandwiches. To start off day 3, I wanted to get another Sentret to evolve into Furret. Watching this thing walk is mesmerizing, but I went back to my picnic reset spot here during the daytime, meaning Starly can also spawn, and I didn't even get to do a reset before finding a shiny. I did some roaming around after that until nighttime, where I'd come back and find my second shiny Sentret. And sadly, even with only 2 shinies on this sandwich, this is still tied for the best sandwich so far, as long as we don't count failing that Slugma. And now, I'd like to introduce you to Exhibit F of Game Freak making shiny hunting in the DLC Cursed. Phantump. With sandwich 20, we went for a ghost sandwich, and I would spot a shiny Phantump, but I immediately have to ask the question to myself, why is this shiny so much worse than previous games? For Gen 6, 7, and 8, it was almost a silverish white color, and now it's just a dulled out gray. I would have voted Phantump as one of the best shinies in the DLC, but this is unacceptable. Trevenant got a little more dull too, but it at least is still almost white, but between them, they're a different color now, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry, I just don't like this change. Wouldn't you know it though, I'd also find a Mimikyu in the forest on this sandwich as well. It was even under a tree, but I was still able to spot it. With the rest of the sandwich, I'd begin the hunt for the brand new Pokemon, Poltergeist, whose shiny is unfortunately pretty cursed. It goes from this black to a forest green. It looks kinda easy to tell from the picture, but again, if it's far away, it's more difficult than it would seem. It has a few interesting spawn mechanics as well. It doesn't spawn at dusk, and only spawns next to bamboo trees. But sadly, there isn't a large bamboo forest like in Paldea, so even with Encounter Power 3, you still tend to get some other Pokemon spawning. But of course, because it's a spin-off of Sinistea and Poltegeist, it has a 1 in 100 chance form, the Artisan form. This adds a stamp to the bottom of it, and that's it. I didn't find any shiny Poltergeist now, but we'll come back to it later. After some emotional support belly rubs for Milo, I decided to do a non-DLC shiny hunt for Applin. It was time to eat food, and I figured the Applin AFK strat would be more efficient than just stopping and eating for 15 minutes. It was a decent idea, but I didn't end up finding a shiny. For sandwich 22, I figured I would check out the Carbank outbreak that was on my map. Good idea. Only a minute after finding it, I found the shiny. Then I hunted for Cleffa until daytime, but no luck there. Once it turned daytime, it was again time to begin one of the most cursed hunts in the DLC. Cutiefly, Exhibit G of anti-shiny hunting design. I wouldn't even say the shiny is bad. It turns from yellow to pink pretty obvious, if it weren't so damn small. Even with the Switch's built-in zoom-in feature, this hunt kinda sucks. You kinda have to see it from the side. If it's directly facing towards you or away from you, it's really hard to tell. Remember Mayday, the Twitch mod that I named the Jangmo-O after? She loves pink shinies, so much that she was hunting for this before even beginning the DLC story. She looked for this for 16 sandwiches, finally gave up on that, chat and did Masuda hunting for it, getting it on egg number 269. Nice. But anyway, yeah, I kinda got it by the end of the sandwich. That doesn't look yellow at all. That's not yellow at all. That is not yellow at all. I'm sorry, Mayday. Appropriately named, Sorry May. By the way, if you want to maybe have a Pokemon named after you in a YouTube video, head to the Twitch, you got a pretty good chance there. Or comment what your favorite Pokemon are on this video. Sometimes I'll search the comments for a Pokemon's name to name something, and what I would name as another cursed DLC shiny hunt is Feebas. Feebas is historically one of the most annoying Pokemon to even encounter, and they kept that tradition going in Kitakami. Feebas will basically only spawn in this one cave underneath the crystal pool. It can spawn anywhere in this water section toward the bottom, but is a little more common in this back room. That way things from the regular cave spawn table don't show up. But what's even worse about this hunt is that you can't isolate it. There are Barboach in this water as well, ruling out a water sandwich from isolating. I did try to reset for an outbreak of Feebas, but I didn't have any luck with that. I did 2 sandwiches here and didn't find anything on either one of them. But just after the second one had ended, I was demonstrating how I was hunting it to someone in chat who just got there. And this happened. And then pro thing I just found, if you climb on top of the wall, for whatever reason, it makes everything surface faster. So like, boom. Oh my god, are you kidding me? What the heck? Yo. If only that were Feebas. Imagine the pop-off. It would have definitely saved me some of the future pain in store. Putting that on hold for now, I decided to try the new method of hunting Applin. There's a particular spot in the apple orchard that a dragon-type sandwich will only give you apple spawns. Sometimes you'll even get a family of them. Definitely still requires a lot of nerd necking to see all the tree spawns though. No shinies for now, both in-game and in this trading card pack. Next up I went for a bug-type sandwich. I looked for a bunch of random things on it, but nothing wanted to be shiny. So I went back to looking for Nosepass with sandwich number 27, and it didn't take all that long to find this time. But yet again, I just don't get lucky enough to get another shiny on the sandwich. Rowlet started taking over my screen for a fire-type sandwich, and thankfully they didn't scare away the shiny Litwick that I would find on the sandwich. But it's time for Exhibit H, Memento, and Explosion. And Final Gambit. We talked about coughing earlier being the biggest offender here, having 2 of these moves. Most people are going to play the DLC having completed the base game first, though you can do it earlier than that. But do you know just how many Pokemon in the DLC have one of these moves in the wild after completing the game? 14 Pokemon that if they choose a particular move, they just die. Not exactly a problem when you can or just remember to save, but when you aren't allowed to save, this is terrifying. You've also got other scary ones like Munchlax with Metronome that can randomize into any one of these moves, Kricketune with Perish Song, Mienfoo with High Jump Kick, Duskull and Dusclops with Curse, or Basculin with 3 recoil moves and a self-confusing move, which nearly half of the Kitakami Pokedex has a recoil move. Why am I talking about this? Well, of course, Litwick has Memento. I did do the smart thing, grabbing a Sneasel from my boxes to use Taunt, that way it can't use Memento. But I didn't exactly know how to count Taunt turns, and I wanted to paralyze it, but Thunderwave being on Gallade instead, I had to switch into him, then Thunderwave, then Taunt wore off. And of course, the 12.5% chance scenario happened in the one turn I tried to switch back. It moves through Paralysis and uses Memento. And you know what the tragic piece of that is? I could have just taught Taunt to Gallade with a TM. But no, the shiny of one of my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon just kills itself right in front of me. This would be tragic for more reason than just one. One of those reasons being I didn't find any other shiny on that sandwich. In the mood to feel even more defeated, I'd go back to the Feebas hunt, finding another shiny Barboach instead. Then sandwich 30, I went to Ghost type, looking to reclaim the Litwick. But it's a Duscan nighttime only spawn, meaning other things can spawn during the daytime. That's a blue Yanma. I'll take it, man. I don't care. But after this Charmod shiny, the luck would dry up for the night. I'd go back to looking for Poltergeist after that, still no luck there. Then I made a grass sandwich for 31, dragon type for 32, and water type for 33. And on all of them, I didn't find a single shiny. This was a pretty deflating way to end the day. But rough streaks like this are pretty much inevitable when you're doing a large number of sandwiches. But if you thought today was rough, just you wait. I decided that day 4 was going to be the day of the Feebas. I was not going to stop until I had found a shiny one. It looked promising to start the day. I found 2 shiny Barboach very easily on the first sandwich. But after a full sandwich and another 15 minutes on the next one with no shinies, I figured it would be in my best interest to try resetting for an outbreak. Boy oh boy, did I enjoy this. The last 15 minutes of that sandwich, no Feebas outbreak. After resetting for this, I'm convinced that your outbreak RNG can just straight up break or something, because I didn't do anything to progress further until I got the Feebas outbreak. And doing so, it only took a casual 4 hours. Even if it's a 1% chance, it is statistically impossible for me to have not gotten it by now. That is how unlikely it is that I have not seen it so far. Oh my god, yes! Holy sh! Oh my god! I know what you're thinking. Oh, you just gotta stand in the right spot and use a sandwich. It's pretty easy. But let me tell you, I tried everything. I tried on both save files. I reset my game. Encounter power, water sandwich, running while resetting. Both level 1 and level 3. Standing in like 10 different spots. As well as resetting for it without a sandwich at all. And it still took 4 hours to find. There were at least 6 people in my chat that started resetting for this outbreak and found it before me. Typically for them, taking about 50 to 60 resets. My guess is there might be something about certain days where Feebas outbreaks are more likely to spawn than others, but I was just doing the rewind by 1 minute method to reset things. But everyone that found something had some sort of different date from their previous date skipping endeavors. Mayday, who found one in 3 resets, was all the way in 2027. But with that nightmarish 4 hours behind me, I still had to actually do the outbreak and hunt the thing. And even though I finally got to the outbreak, I still got unlucky, because my outbreak was in the wrong section of the cave. Meaning even with the outbreak and water encounter 3, I was still going to be getting some of the spawns taken up by Barboach or the land Pokemon. Sandwich 37, I clear the outbreak, and nothing. Sandwich 38, nothing. Sandwich 39, still nothing. The Rowlets on screen would be an accurate depiction of my mental status. It wasn't until Sandwich 40 that I would finally find it. Yes! 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 It's level 69 too! Yes! This is probably going to be my longest ever shiny hunt in Scarlet and Violet ever. Overall, this hunt took about 10 hours total just to find one. This hunt took so long, they even added the shiny noise back into the game. Shiny noise back in the game? True and real? Oh my god, it is! It is! Yes! Both are level 69. Nice! Let's go. Sadly, I'm just kidding. That's just the troll sound alert for when I play Legends Arceus. But after 10 hours of pain, at least I was able to get both of the shinies I would need for the living dex. So at least I wouldn't have to hunt this ever again. But I didn't want to be done just yet. After all that pain, I wanted more. So I went right back to it. Sandwich number 41, I got no more shinies. And sandwich number 42, I would only get one more. And figuring that 9 hours of pain in one day for this hunt was enough, I decided that 3 shiny Feebas was good enough for me. All of them were level 69, by the way. Like, Game Freak, you know what you're doing, right? I would make 2 more sandwiches before the end of the day. A ghost-type sandwich, on which I wouldn't find anything, and a grass-type sandwich, on which I would find shiny Sawaddle. This is also where I caught the cutie fly, and it's a really good picnic reset spot. You only need to check about 135 degrees of rotation for all of your spawns. So even somewhat difficult hunts like these are pretty easy to check. Caught the Sawaddle in a friend ball. So friendly. But that would be the end of the torturous day 4. Only getting 6 shinies on 11 sandwiches. Day 5 was a bit of an off day. I only got about half the hunting in because it was my dad's birthday. We had some pizza, went to the arcade, played some Pokemon Go. And after some food when I got home, it was time for more sandwiches. But not before showing off my completely reasonable financial decision. Buying the Eepee Borb. Look at it, so Eepee. Going from Eepee to Angie, we searched for Mopico for sandwich 45. It does seem like it would be hard to spot, but it's pretty obvious when you see it. And when the Borb is Eepee, Hoodoo comes out to play, getting a shiny in the Hoodoo cave. And I don't have anything insightful to say about Jangmo-O here, but I was able to get a second one with an outbreak. All of these coming at the end of their respective sandwiches. Then I made a ground type sandwich and paid a visit to the Sandshrew cave. After taking out the Terra Sandslash that's here, you can do picnic resets by standing in the left corner. With ground type, you can do Sandshrew and Geodude, and with normal type, you can do Sentret and Furret. A pretty chill hunt, getting me a Sandshrew and snagging it in a friend ball. On a side note here, a few days later, I was trying to direct another streamer, Evie, to this cave to help out with her shiny Sentret. She would struggle with getting one for hours after this still, but she found something pretty cool after getting here.
Whoa, what? Wait, what?
In case you didn't know, static Terra Pokemon are always full odds. Pretty cool. She named it after me, and now I have a Sandslash as an alter ego. Look at the way it spins. It's like Sanic. Anyway, back to my sandwiches. With sandwich 49, I'd make a water type sandwich and Tide Rockruff for the fastest shiny in the challenge. Sandwich number 49, ready go. Whoop. Random whoop. Real quick. Random whoop real quick. Let's go! And I would find another one on that sandwich while searching for shiny Cramorant. After giving Milo some treats and Borbs invading my screen, I would do a Chingling outbreak, getting one by the end of the sandwich. And I'd go back to water type for the next one, grabbing the shiny Cramorant. With a water sandwich at nighttime here, it and Wooper will be the only things spawning in Fellhorn Gorge. At least when you're hugging this wall. Then I did some picnic resets at the beginning river, finding a shiny Corfish. It has actually always been this shade of pinkish red, and I wasn't aware. With that, we wrapped up day 5, getting 50% more shinies in 50% of the time of day 4. And we're gonna need the good luck to continue. That's 51 sandwiches down and only 42 shinies. Not even close to a 1-to-1 ratio, and much worse at this point than in the original video. Granted, I didn't dedicate about 10% of all the sandwiches to one really difficult hunt the first time, but I'd go to sleep, hoping for some better luck over the next few days. Day 6, we started bright and early. With a ground type sandwich, it was back to the Sandshrew Cave, getting one pretty quickly, leaving enough time to encounter a Geodude. I don't have a Breloom on this save file, but thankfully Geodude is one of the few Pokemon Amoonguss can outspeed, so no explosions today. Then I went back to the bus stop reset spot, getting another emotional sport Wooper, quite emotionally supportive. Still here on sandwich 53, I went for a shiny Poochyena. I looked for a Crawdont with the rest of the sandwich, but there were way too many Bombardiers here. I made another dark type sandwich after though, this time going for Nuzleaf, and I was able to find 2 of them in about 10 minutes. I'd look for Volibee with the rest of the sandwich, but this shiny kinda sucks, so it takes a while to check things. I would once again make a ghost type sandwich trying to get Litwick, but I would once again be disappointed. At least I found a Duskull though, which I don't really need because of PLA. Sandwich 56, and once again we'd see me get lucky with a non-DLC Pokemon, Mankey. It's one of those Pokemon with Final Gambit. Between that and having several of them, it went in a quick ball. A few minutes later, I would find a Mienfoo, which is what I was actually looking for. Then very weirdly, my stream just ended for some reason. Everything on my OBS looked perfectly fine, as if nothing happened. It even said I was still streaming. But on the Twitch side of things, it showed that stream was over for everybody. Maybe it was an IRL Ghost of Annihilate punishing me for putting Mankey in a quick ball. I reconnected and finished that sandwich, but nothing else. Up next, it was a normal type sandwich, and after a stop in the Hoodoo Cave, I was actually done with normal type DLC Pokemon. So I'd bravely face off against a Pokemon that I just outright refused to shiny hunt in the base game. Tandemaus. Now, it's not like I was afraid of hunting a 1 in 100 form. I did do the 3-segment Dudonsparce hunt after all, but I just never wanted to hunt it because of how terrible this shiny is. Heck, even Sinistea isn't even that great of a hunt in this game. Small Pokemon, small shiny change, all pass. But just outside of the Hoodoo Cave, there is a pretty easy spot to hunt for it. There are actually a lot of places to isolate Tandemaus in the DLC, but one of the perks of doing it here specifically is that they can't run away. And if you're smart with your movement, they really can't despawn on you either. So you can actually check every Tandemaus that spawns in with auto battles. And of course, auto battles won't kill shiny Pokemon. And there is a small hint the game gives you when your Pokemon finds a shiny. I picked up on this little hint when I was going for Feebas the normal way. You'll see here my Gallade was taking out a bunch of them, but he did what I like to call the quick return. When your Pokemon doesn't see a target close enough to it, it'll usually sit around for a bit and then go in its ball after a few seconds. But when it targets a shiny on its own, it will immediately return to you. So even though I still couldn't see this thing at all, I recognized the quick return and was able to grab the shiny. Right at the end of that sandwich too. I couldn't wait. I checked for this right away, and unfortunately it wasn't the family of 3. But I will be doing a subathon on my Twitch a few days after this video goes out, and shiny hunting a family of 3 Tandemaus will definitely be one of those goals. After a dark sandwich that gave me no shinies, I take a detour before sandwich 59. I transferred a shiny Golduck I had from PLA so I could give it Taunt and the ability Damp for the coughing hunt. When I found the coughing was when somebody reminded me of neutralizing gas. This one didn't actually have it, but I didn't want to risk it anyway, so I shoved it in a quick ball. The next sandwich, I made a bit of a mistake though. It was a flying type sandwich for number 60, but shortly after making it, it turned nighttime. Turns out the only DLC flying types I need now are daytime exclusives. So I ended up back in Paldea for the rest of the sandwich. Fun fact, there's quite a time difference between the regions. Pretty neat, but just as the sandwich ended, this happened. Such a funny moment. That's a shiny Shuppet. This moment did indeed make me feel like a wide Rowlet. My chat made me order cookies, and while I was eating one, I went for another flying type sandwich. Unfortunately, getting nothing. And we'd hit a cold streak, getting nothing on the next fighting type sandwich either. But sandwich 63, a grass type sandwich, would give me my second Sawaddle at the bus stop reset. I found a C-Dot outbreak trying to get that on the next grass sandwich, but I'd instead find a Bellsprout. Sandwich 65, I looked for Volbeat and Illumise at nighttime. Then for a new challenger, Grubbin or Chargebug during the daytime. Unfortunately, I didn't get either of those. Wow. I'm sorry, Mayday. I'm sorry, Mayday. Mayday's still not over it, and I would end the day by making a phone call. Bro turned off the content switch. Oh wait, let me take this thing. Yeah, I'll tell them. Okay, but that was my agent. True and real. Streamer luck right now. Wrapping up day 6 with the most shinies in one day so far, getting 17. So gamers, you're this far into the video, and you didn't listen to me the first time. How are you still not subscribed yet? Clearly you're liking something about the video here. Perhaps it's my dedication. I streamed 88 hours in 9 days to get this video out quickly. And between hunting for all the herba, scripting the video, recording, and editing the video, this will have taken easily around 140 hours. Subscribing would be much appreciated. And once again, you can always change your mind later. On day 7, we started kicking into overdrive. Only 3 minutes in, I'd find the last shiny Jangmo-O on my Dragon-type sandwich. So I went back to the apple orchard, and I actually found an apple hanging from a tree. Now looking for a second Corphish, I'd do some river resetting, finding another shiny Poliwag instead. Now, gamers, do you know what sandwich we're on now? Heh boys, sandwich 69. Nice. Which Pokemon is it going to be? Oh, that's fine. Oh, okay, another one, and oh, it's even level 69, what do you mean? And with sandwich 70, I'd find my favorite ghost type. Are you, what the frick? I was coming to look for Poltergeist again, but no luck there. From here, we're kind of just going to be hunting the same Pokemon over and over again until we get the rest of what we need. Water sandwich, looking for Ducklet during the day, Corphish during the night. Grass type sandwich, going for C-Dot or Weepinbell, end up getting the final Sawaddle I needed instead. You guys see the funny number coming up here. Shiny number 69 incoming. Nice. Guess who numbers 68 and 69 are? It's grubbin. Grubbin these nuts. The joke was not worth it. Even with an outbreak, it still took until sandwich 75 to get both of them. Ending another long hunt was the next sandwich, going flying type for Vullaby, and I would finally find it. Sandwich 77 was fairy type, using the Hoodoo Cave for Clefairy now, but no luck there. Next was a water type sandwich for Ducklet, and I would get not one, but 2 ducks on the sandwich. What the duck, indeed. Seeing as it was now nighttime, I used a bug sandwich on the river, and I found this to be the best way to reset for Volbeat and Illumise. So good that this happened.
You look mad okay today.
Look mad okay today? Oh, I know what looks mad okay today. This shiny. Couple minutes left on the sandwich. Let's just get one real quick. Just get it, lol. Are you kidding? What the frick? It took 79 sandwiches, but I finally got a double shiny in Kitakami. Maybe I've been a bit spoiled by the emotional sport Dunsparce and Fluttermanes. Sandwich 80 was some really good luck. I went for a poison type sandwich this time, looking for Bellsprout or Ekans, and I was surprisingly able to get both and avoid getting another shiny Spinarak. And 81 was even more good luck, finally getting a second Mienfoo and getting not one, but 2 Timbers to finish off the evolution line. Then I did a reset hunt in the north with Munchlax, Indeedee, and Greedent, but nothing wanted to shine. The next rock type sandwich would indeed rock. I was able to not only get a nose pass to finish the line with, but I also finally got a shiny Sudowoodo. For some reason, finding a shiny Sudowoodo took me like 3,000 or more encounters or something. I was almost convinced this thing was shiny locked in my game, because a hunt going that long is pretty rare. And I would finish the day with a ghost type sandwich looking for Litwick or Poltergeist, but once again, feeling nothing but pain with both of those evolution lines. But this was a rather good day. 22 shinies in total. For day 8, I knew if I powered through the sandwiches today that it could be the last day. So that's what I did. Sandwich 85, normal sandwich, snagging an Apom, which finishes one of every version exclusive in the DLC. I also started doing a Munchlax outbreak, and after about 40 KOs, the shiny decided to show up early. Right next to that outbreak, we can make a water type sandwich and get only Lotad spawns. Slightly better than the mountain and much faster to check, which made the difference, getting me 2 shiny Lotads. For 87, we went back to Volbeat and Illumise resets, though I was still on Violet, so I found another a shiny Volbeat, and it turned daytime, so I had to look for something else. And then, another Yanma is acceptable. Wow. Another Yanma is acceptable. And we are completely running out of things to hunt now. I made a fairy-type sandwich for Cleffa, finally getting a shiny in the Hoodooed Cave. Then we yet again try to reclaim Litwick to no avail. Still on that ghost sandwich, I was heading to the forest to look for another Phantom or Trevenant. And we ended up getting my favorite ghost type.
I'm just nerd necking.
Oh my god, oh my god. Then I made another poison-type sandwich for the Mossfell Confluence, and we found my favorite poison type. Didn't want to shine on any of those, 5 sandwiches earlier, huh? I would also find an actual poison type, a shiny Arbok. Sandwich 91, back to Volbeat and Illumise. And I still didn't switch over to Scarlet, so I got yet another shiny Volbeat. I'd finally switch over to Scarlet for Sandwich 92, and in my search for the final Grubbin, I'd finally end up finding an extra shiny Spinnerack. The amount of sandwiches I dodged it on, though, was kinda crazy. I found another Grubbin outbreak to do, so we basically started hopping between that during the day and the Volbeat and Illumise hunt during the nighttime. Sandwich 93, I'd find nothing. Sandwich 94, we would find the final Grubbin and get pretty lucky with resetting for an Illumise outbreak. But it wasn't nighttime just yet, so I hunted Surskit until the next sandwich. And even with me moving over to Scarlet and getting the Illumise outbreak to maximize my chances of seeing them instead of Volbeats, I'll show you how feral I could be. That's literally what she said. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I got another shiny Volbeat. Thankfully though, I would finally find the shiny Illumise on this sandwich as well. Wouldn't you know it, there was also a Litwick outbreak on the map at the same time. But of course, the first thing that wanted to be shiny was a Duskull. But at the very end of the sandwich, Litwick finally decided to shine once again. And I may or may not have broken a rule here to save this time. It was the end of the sandwich, and I wanted it in a Premier Ball. And good thing I did, because the first ball didn't work, and it immediately woke up and used Memento. Seeing as there wasn't much else to do, I just stayed here for the next sandwich as well, this time finding the shiny about halfway through it. But I wasn't going to save this time. Whatever happens, happens, am I right? And I know what you're thinking, you can get hacked surprise trades for more Master Balls. But this is the actual Master Ball for this save file. And don't support those dumb surprise trade bots, they're more harm than good. Sandwich 98. The list of Pokemon I needed was minuscule at this point. I did a fairy-type sandwich, getting a Cleffa rather quickly in the cave. But sadly, that'd be it on that one. If you've been paying real close attention, you'd know there's only 2 new DLC evolution lines that I haven't gotten a Pokemon from yet. That'd be Basculin and Poltergeist. With 2 sandwiches to go, I thought, how amazing would it be to end this video with a shiny Poltergeist? And as it turns out, the game agreed with me. First try? Excuse me? Not only did I get a first try Poltergeist outbreak, but this outbreak is actually exclusively Artisan Poltergeist. Pokemon with different spawnable forms in the wild will now properly have the different forms of outbreaks. So your Tatsugiri outbreaks will actually be the right form of Tatsugiri now, and this also notably means that you can have authentic Sinistea and Artisan Poltergeist outbreaks. Theoretically, this would also allow a family of 3 outbreak for Mousehold and a 3-segment Dudunsparce outbreak. However, it doesn't seem like that's actually the case. Mousehold just doesn't spawn in the wild, and for Dunsparce, they specifically coded 3 segments to not spawn in the wild at all, meaning a 3-segment outbreak shouldn't happen. And assuming this Cerebi page is in fact correct, there's only 1 outbreak spawn table for it, where there are actually 2 spawn tables for Sinistea and Poltergeist. But between getting this outbreak to spawn first try, and it being an Artisan form outbreak, I of course had to do this for the rest of the sandwiches. With Sandwich 99, I cleared the outbreak, but no shinies. And with Sandwich 100, I found nothing. Not a single shiny Poltergeist or a single random shiny. Well, that's a bit anticlimactic. I guess that means the video's over. So I'll catch you guys next. Psych, it's overtime. Sandwich number 101. I would finally find a shiny. Oh my god, what the fuck? But don't worry, it was only a matter of time. That's it. Yes! Yes! Bro, that is not possible. That is not possible to tell from far away. And with that, we successfully completed 101 sandwiches in the Scarlet and Violet DLC. But as I was writing the script here, I went double overtime. I made sure to keep the outbreak saved by closing the game and making sure it stayed on that day. And with sandwich number 102, I found a second shiny Artisan Poltergeist. And it killed itself. But hey, only the 100 sandwiches were hardcore, so I saved on this one. Lost out on the rest of the sandwich, but worth it, I am up. And now being firmly out of Herba Mystica, this adventure comes to a close. So partially thanks to the increased difficulty of these shiny hunts, combined with the best strategies not quite being known yet, seeing as I started this as soon as possible, we only ended up getting 103 shinies in 102 sandwiches. Far worse than last time, and if we consider the random unboosted shinies, it was less than a 1-to-1 ratio, and we never got really lucky on any of the sandwiches. The best sandwiches were 3 shinies on 1 sandwich, so that's a bit of a yikes. But we also have to consider I was being more selective with what I was hunting. I had most of the Pokemon from the base game already, and I used 15 sandwiches or so going for Feebast and Poltergeist, hunts similar to Zorua, Ditto, and Sinistea, which I really only did like 2 sandwiches for last time. So if we removed those from the equation, things probably would have been a little bit better. So all in all, it wasn't that terrible. But now it's time for the mark check, and I did get pretty unlucky on those. Mark checking, 102 shiny Pokemon. We have Ryder, the Chingling, who is marked. Let's go. The Duskmark, Spinarak, who is marked. Rare Mark, Uncommon, EP, Sociable. Ah! Where are the marks, dude? My god. You guys, we've got Macargodes. Who's marked? Let's go. The Sociable mark. Alright, we'll take it. LJ, the Lotad. Who is marked? LJ's marked. With the Sleepy mark, the EP. We have Lil Knight Fury, who is marked. Dawn Rare EP. Sociable. We have Sorry May. The Cutie Fly, who is marked. Ain't no way. Mayday has left this plane of existence. Oh my god. Sociable. God, this cutie fly is just exists to spite you. We have Fire is Rank. Fire is Rank. Is marked. Lunchtime. Peckish. We have Fuchsia, who is not exactly Fuchsia. Who is marked. EP. Sociable. Midnight Ninja, who is a midnight marker. Give us the EP. Excited. Alright. Alright. The Myth, the Geodude, the Rock, is marked. We want EP. Because it's asleep. It's asleep. Yelp. Leave us a review on Yelp. Because it's marked. EP! Let's go! 5-star review. Hoot Hoot. Do we have a sleepy? We might have a sleepy Hoot Hoot. Is it EP? It's tearied. It's teary-eyed. Well, this Tandemaus was not a family of 3. But it is marked. Let's go. Rare mark, 100%. Joyful. Okay. So Waddle number 2 is marked. The Radiant. We're getting a nice mix of marks here. Hey guys, this was on sandwich 69. It's marked. It's marked. Slump mark. Why are you slumped? Why are you worn out? Ayo. Slugma. Level 69. On sandwich 69. It's marked. Yes. Ferocious rampaging. Oh, we like it rough, huh? We've got Volibee. Well, at least I don't have to catch another one, right? Lunchtime. Duck moment. What the duck? What the duck? The duck is marked. Peckish. Peckish duo. They were just looking for food. That's why I couldn't find them for so long, right? Surely. Ducklet. Another duck. Mark streak? Alright, we'd like to see that. We like to see that. Is that a 3 peckish mark streak? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? No way. No way. Yo. 3 peckish in a row. They were just busy eating. They were just busy being burbs and eating. We got Volbeat number 2 is marked. 4 out of 5. That's where we're at. EP. We have Ekans. Ekans is marked. Alright. Rare or EP? I think we're a little too biased toward these marks. The Humble.
We gotta change this. What should we do? Bomb Bomb or Mom Bomb? Or Bomb Bomb? I think, well, we'll do Bomb Bomb. Bomb Bomb is marked. Let's go. The rare marked. Yes. Yes. Bomb Bomb. Bomb Bomb. That's pretty bomb. That's pretty bomb. Volbeat number 3. Marked. EP, 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 EP. Angie. Grr. And I size checked everything. We got a few that were almost max or minimum size, but still, I have not found a maximum or minimum size shiny. And unfortunately, my second Poltergeist also wasn't marked. My Scarlet save file had 2 marks out of 26 Pokemon, and my Violet save file had 21 out of the rest of the 77. Less marks than you would expect, but at least some of the more elusive shinies like Vullaby and Ducklet had marks. And considering how long I had to wait to get the shiny Sudowoodo, I'm quite happy with the mark that it had. But that'll be about it for this video. Once again, make sure to give it a like and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Doesn't take that long to do, and it's going to help me out a ton. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all of the support over this year. It's the support from you guys that keeps me able to make this content. And make sure to follow the Twitch. Again, there's the subathon that will probably have several videos filmed during it. And you can get yourself a shiny or a Pokemon from a challenge run named after you. And perhaps I'll see you before the end of this year with 100 sandwiches in the next DLC. And perhaps I'll see you before the end of this year with 100 sandwiches in the next DLC. That's right, we're doing it again. 200 Herba Mystica, 100 shiny sandwiches. It's time for the epic finale in the Indigo Disc DLC. How many shinies would I get? How good was the average sandwich? How good was the best sandwich? Let's get started. For starters, we had to get our bearings under us. This, of course, means beating the entire story. Twice, because of course we had to be completing the entire living dex of the Blueberry Pokedex, meaning we needed the new version-exclusive legendaries. Ah, shoot, I didn't do the quest on this game. Between doing the story twice and completing the Pokedex, it took me until just about 48 hours after the release of the DLC, seeing as I was still sleeping, eating, and going to the gym. Keep making them gains, brothers. In the Teal Mask, I got 3 shinies in both games by the end of the story, but the Indigo Disc is a lot more battling, a lot less exploration, so I didn't get any shinies in either story this time, but I would still find a few while I was completing the Pokedex. Oh, are you kidding me? Excuse me? Once I had found all the Pokemon, including the new bane of my existence, Cyndaquil, I had the Mark Charm in my possession, and it was time for the shiny hunting. As is tradition, we won't be resetting if we fail shinies, and we won't be resetting the sandwiches if there are 0 shinies on them. And as is tradition, we're starting it off with 1 sandwich of each type. But before I was even able to start making the first sandwich, this happened. Did I save? Wait, guys. Oh man, get ready for a lot of that, guys. Get ready for a lot of that. That's a shiny Pyro right there. Look at that. Look at that. Even though this was before the sandwich started, I still added it to the total. Come on, after what happened in Kitakami, I felt like I would need all the help I could get. But of course, we would have to kick things off by looking for the best Pokemon of all time, Sawsbuck. I mean, of course, we were going for Rowlet, but it was a grass sandwich and there were way too many of these things. I figured we'd keep trying to look for starters, so with the second sandwich, we'd set off looking for Mudkip, who has a nice isolation spot in the fire caves here. Only took a few minutes to find. Then I'd head to the beach in search of Froakie or Pomplio, but there'd be no luck on the rest of that sandwich. But in a bout of deja vu... I saved, right guys? We're back. Oh boy, are we back. God, like, are you serious? We're trying to do a video here. So we're at 2 shinies per sandwich so far, but 2 of them
weren't on sandwiches. Padding the stats harder than Russell Westbrook out here. We'd round out the Trinity with the Fire-type sandwich. A nice mountainous dual hunt for Scorbunny and Chimchar. And my god, was this Chimchar way harder to see than I thought it would be. You've got the bright orange from the front side view, but then it becomes a really dark orange when it's facing away from you. And the change between those two is more noticeable than the change between the orange and the pink. Cursed out of 10. With that, we've done all of the primary typings of the starters. Most of the starter lines these days have a secondary type, however, the only base forms with one are Bulbasaur and Rowlet. Everyone else gains it later, so I made those sandwiches next, and I would utilize our new flying capabilities to spot it from the sky. But there was something else we'd find out about this Rowlet as well.
He's marked! He's marked! It's the Orb of Legend!
In the Academy's club room, you're able to purchase upgrades to the game through the BP you earn from BBQs. This is how you unlock the starters in the terrarium in the first place. But one of these upgrades is to your zoom feature, allowing you to see some extra info on the Pokemon, showing the gender, relative size, and if the Pokemon is marked. Though I wouldn't be checking what marks our Pokemon had until the end of the challenge like usual, but having the knowledge they were marked kept up the suspense for later. After catching the Borb, it was time for Bulbasaur. A pretty chill hunt as they just stand still after spawning, but with it being pretty subtle, I took a little bit longer to look at them, so no luck with a shiny. Our first sandwich that gave us nothing. With all the starter types down, it was time to hunt one of the best shinies of all time that returned with this DLC, the Metagross line. Everyone calls this one of the best shinies, yet somehow the Violet Paradox shinies are bad. Kind of a double standard there. But before we talk about how unexpectedly terrible this shiny hunt is, I want to take a moment to say thank you guys. I created this channel at the beginning of the year, and somehow we're about to reach 60,000 subscribers. I can't begin to thank you enough for the support you guys have shown for the channel, and I'm super thankful I'm able to share these adventures with you guys. And there's more where this came from, so make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope with your help we can make 2024 even better. Let's get back to the Beldum hunt, where you would think amazing shiny, but terrible hunt somehow? I went to hunt it on the mountain, having seen it there earlier, and my god, is this just pure torture. Let me introduce you to my good friend, Snow, which for some reason makes it so if you look at Beldum from behind, it loses all its color. Just maybe look for the gold prongs you're thinking. Well, with this effect also, for no apparent reason, it can make the bits that turn gold look gold too. This had to have been some sort of social experiment set up by Game Freak. There is no possible way that this is a coincidence. I asked my chat desperately for some other place to hunt this thing, and I was led to Chargestone Cave, missing it at first, but finding a spot that spawned them. Not quite isolated, but better than thinking every Beldum is shiny. Thankfully, after I got here, I wouldn't have to look that hard. I would just have to battle with its horrendously low catch rate, but I was successful. And this would be the end of the hunting for day 1. Our numbers are looking better from these unboosted shinies, but sadly the sandwiches themselves gave us no more than 1 shiny each. Not looking too good to start off, but thankfully we would be looking good to start off day 2. I would set out with a bug type sandwich and look for a straight goofy pair of shinies. Have you seen this thing swim? It's horrifying. I'd find 2 Dupiter rather quickly at the peak of the coastal biome. Another returning bug type is Cleavor. Even with Scyther in the base game, there was no way to get it without PLA. They can spawn on top of this mountain here, but it was mainly just Scyther on a bug type sandwich. Somehow including a shiny one. With that, there are only a couple more bug types I need, mainly the Joltik line. Now, while Joltik is cool and the bounce for its walking animation is straight up comedy, I wasn't looking forward to this hunt because it's straight up cursed. Chargestone Cave has shiny crystal trolling that would put Area 0 to shame. Pretty much everything in there can look shiny at the right angle. However, this was quite the lucky sandwich, and I was actually able to spot it from pretty far away. And boom! We got 4 shinies on that one, and we've already beaten the best sandwich from Kitakami. You'd think after that, this normal type sandwich would be due for some bad luck, but I'd find a Minccino on it pretty fast, followed by a Deerling sleeping under a tree. I was actually on the coast here looking for a Pick-a-Peck, and with the next dragon type sandwich, I would initially stay in the area looking for Exeggutor, but I would also be intrigued enough to take to the mountains to look for one of the worst shinies in the DLC, Duraludon. I mean, I was kind of forced to hunt the thing because it got a new evolution. The only thing that kept me from wanting to jump off a mountain myself while looking for it was someone pointing out that the red bit at the top of its head changes to chrome. If it weren't for that glimmering ray of hope, I'd have taken a hard pass on this hunt going forward, but I would look around for now, unfortunately not finding it. After that failure, I thought to go with a ground type sandwich next. Drillbur and Excadrill were on the table, but Golett and Golurk were going to be potentially tough. The base color of the body doesn't really change, just this splotchy part, but there's a great way to hunt these guys at nighttime, and that's with their glow, going from yellow to green. Even with minimal change, I'd say Golurk is still incredibly easy to spot, just because of how big it is. And I would even call my shots with this one. I feel like it's a lot more likely to find a second Golurk instead of a Golett. What did I say? I literally just said it. Sometimes you can just see the future. With my next sandwich, I finally decided to try out the Milcery event outbreaks. Milcery being a rather cursed shiny, both because it just barely changes, and because of what it looks like. I was nerd-necking for this way too much, but in the end I saw it right away. I'd say it being in the polar biome didn't really help though. I would only get one shiny on this sandwich, but the next sandwich would be a different story. We went rock type and looked for Alolan Graveler and Geodude. I would find one of each pretty quick, which left some time to look for Cranidos. But there happened to be a Milcery outbreak covering the area that they were spawning in, and suddenly Milcery became my favorite rock-type Pokemon of all time, because I found not one, not two, but 3 Milcery in a span of like 4 minutes. But unfortunately, my stream was cutting out here though, so here's some of the footage of that was able to get through, I guess. What's happening? Guys, what the hell? Oh no, shoot. We're freaking lagging right now? Seriously? The Milcery were just too much for my internet to handle. I had to restart the router. The sandwich was pretty much over after rebooting, so on to the next. It was a fighting type sandwich which gets you Scraggy, Scrafty, and Tyrogue in the canyon. But there was a large case of nerd neck here, taking way too much time, finding no shinies. One of our types remaining is dark type, and there are a few nice isolation hunts with it, but my target was Muck and Grimer. Though I wanted to hunt them on the beach to make them easier to see, so we'd be getting a side of Inkay while we're at it. And that would be our first shiny on this sandwich. Once I was faced with Muck, my Kitakami PTSD came in clutch, remembering that this might have Memento. I'd gotten my Golduck out earlier for Geodude and Graveler, so I taught it Taunt. This way we covered any Memento users or Explodey Boys. With an outspeed on the Taunt, we were able to catch it, which I would like to take this time to point out that Muck is number 69 in the Blueberry Pokedex. Muck. Like, come on, Game Freak. There's no way that wasn't intentional. We're all onto you. The good luck on this sandwich continued, getting a Alolan Grimer with a few minutes left, and right at the buzzer, we'd top it off with the second one. I'd move on to Ice type, which is probably the worst type here. As far as I know, there's only one isolation for it, and everything else will put you on high alert. But in the northern waters, it's just Lapras and Dugong, so it isn't all that bad. I'd come across a shiny Lapras, and fittingly would use a Master Ball on it. Thankfully, they give you 3 of these for doing the DLC in the Pokedex, and apparently the printer machine is absolutely broken and can give you more of them potentially. I've only gotten Aper Balls from it so far though, and I didn't really use it at all until after the 100 sandwiches. But while the Ice type is pretty cursed in the DLC, I would say the number 1 cursed type is the Electric type. There are only a few isolation hunts for it, but the bulk of what you're probably going to want is in the Chargestone Cave. And there's like 6 or 7 electric types in there, so you're just playing shiny hunting roulette. For sandwich 16 here, I'd bounce around between doing this and trying for Blitzel and Zebstrika, but to no avail. With 2 types remaining, I would go with the Ghost type sandwich, which doesn't really have too many options. So I would go back to looking for Golett, and I almost didn't notice this thing. Oh, shoot. And that was pretty much all of my options. I decided to go to Chargestone Cave, where Rotom would be an isolated encounter, seeing as I don't have a living form dex of them yet. And our final type to do was Steel type. I'd continue the Duraludon hunt with a side of Metang and Beldum on the mountain with the picnic resets. But everything here is cursed, so I didn't find anything. And that would be all 18 types done. Now we can scatter about and do whatever I want. Which of course the first thing I did was hunt another Rowlet, further adding to the army of Borbs. And continuing the Rowlet into the Bulbasaur hunt from earlier, I went with Bulbasaur the next sandwich. Going back to the peak of the coastal biome, it's isolated with a poison-type sandwich. Naturally, you want to nerd neck this hunt a little bit, but you should know when you see it. I was able to snag 2 of them on that sandwich. I'd go for more fire starters next, hunting the Chimchar and Scorbunny double hunt, getting the golden rabbit. Looks like Easter came early this year. Sandwich 22, I went for water type and tried looking for Squirtle. But I said fuck that, because it straight up doesn't spawn. I went back to Mudkip, got bored of that, and went over to the beach with Froakie and Poplio, but none of these shinies wanted to show up. For 23, I went Psychic type in search of Galarian Slowpoke, which has pretty free encounters here on the beach. You barely even need a sandwich for it. I wouldn't get anything for now, but we'd come back to it later. Day 2 has gone on for quite some time here, and for my last sandwich of the day, I would go for Alolan Exeggutor. And you can't even see this thing in the shiny animation when you find it. Way too goofy. And with that, we'd finish the day. 18 sandwiches, 26 shiny Pokemon. Something that was completely unfathomable only a few years ago, especially with getting 4 or more shiny Pokemon in 30 minutes, 3 times in one day, even if part of that was the Milcery outbreak. More about those later. But with so much success, we had a good bit of energy going into day 3. I had a Chestpin outbreak in Chargestone Cave, so I got to making our grass sandwich. The crystal cheese won't hurt you at all on this one, since it's a blatantly obvious green to brown. I found 2 of them down there. Next I'd take to the ground type sandwich in the same area, which isolates Drillbur and Excadrill. And this is when we would have something amazing but very sketchy happen.
Stop it. Wow.
That's shiny too. Oh my god. Oh my god. Panic. Panic. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Everybody panic. That Drillbur was walking away, and if I were any further from that wall, I would have failed the shiny, as it would have gone out of spawn distance. You can even see it start to go into low FPS mode, that's how far it was. After that near heart attack, I'd look for Diglett and Dugtrio in the coastal cave, with no luck there. There was a Piplup outbreak on the map, so what better time to hunt for it? A pretty common theme for Pokemon in the DLC is that some of the shinies that you think are subtle are pretty easily noticed. Piplup was a decent example of that. The teal actually really stood out here. And an even better example of that is Dugong. The model is noticeably more yellow. You probably won't miss it, even without another Dugong to compare to. A sneaky, obvious shiny. Only thing better is an actual obvious shiny, such as Cranidos, who I would snag on Sandwich 28. And for Sandwich 29, we'd look around for more Borbs, another obvious shiny, after which I'd take to the beach for the not-so-obvious Pikipek and Trumbeak. While they do have some distinguishing features, Pikipek especially is just about impossible to tell when it's from behind. At least for Trumbeak, it has the ring around its neck, which could help you see it from behind if needed. The next sandwich would be another difficult one, Comfey. You have to be able to see the green go to blue, as the flowers don't change color, but thankfully one showed up early in the sandwich. Then I'd take on an easy fairy type hunt, Snubbull and Gramble, both of which are rather obvious, and somehow I would find another Milcery instead, questioning both how I saw it in the snow and why it had to be a Milcery like I didn't have 4 already. To warm ourselves up a bit, next I'd hunt for Snivy, perhaps my second favorite grass starter, but sadly it didn't get an isolation area, being surrounded by Exeggutor everywhere you go. To Exeggutor, no Snivy. Sadly, this wouldn't even be the most traumatic thing to happen with Snivy. Annoying Exeggutors aside, we've been having some pretty good luck on the sandwiches so far today. 7 sandwiches so far, and at least 1 shiny on each. Now it's time for some bad luck on the next sandwiches. I switched over to my Violet save file, a Psychic type sandwich for Esper and Beldum, but I got nothing. Though I would find the best spot to hunt for Beldum and Metang, and you can actually see the shinies. Head to the battle court in the Chargestone Cave and make your way up to the top floor. There's a specific portion of this pathway that seems to have some different spawning rules than everywhere else in the cave, and standing in the right spot with your camera at the right angles, you'll spawn nothing but Beldum and Metang here on a Psychic sandwich. Happy hunting. But again, I still didn't get anything on this sandwich though. Then I took to a rock type sandwich, staying in the cave for a few Minior, then heading to Shieldon, the Violet exclusive fossil, but I again found nothing. But part of this sandwich was wasted because I realized I didn't get the Mark Charm yet, and it just so happened a particular Pokemon managed to escape from my living decks.
Really have extra. Oh, what? No. No, Minior. What?
Well, at least I had the rock type sandwich on. I'd grab one for the dex and head back to Shieldon, but a shiny wasn't happening at this point. On Violet here, I had a Duraludon outbreak, and decided that it was time to get this done. And after much pain and suffering, straining my eyes to track it down,
That's it. Oh my god, yes.
Nothing sneaky about it here, Duraludon is just a really hard shiny. With my time in Canada done, I'd take a trip to the savannah. Blitzel and Zebstrika are just about the only isolated electric-type target. Sadly, I'd get 2 Zebstrika, so I'll still have to get a Blitzel at some point. Though there actually is a way to get a guaranteed one after doing a certain something. On to number 37, where I'd adventure back to the Duraludon outbreak, hoping to get a second one while it was still there. But even with knowing how to spot it, there's no helping it if it doesn't show up. Moving to the next sandwich, I intended to hunt Litten or Tepig, but the Violet save file here doesn't have these starters unlocked. So instead I would look for Magby with a fire-type sandwich, and thankfully this turned out to be a rather happy accident.
Oh, whoa!
A very rare true double, where you see both shinies at the same exact time, and oddly enough, not even the first one of this series. I'd hop over to the canyon next, grabbing a couple of Tyrogues, one of which got named Dr. Bustdown by popular demand. I don't know why though. I was questioning what to do next, and had somewhat decided on Skarmory, and then I did something stupid, trusting someone in chat. They said Skarmory had an isolation spot on the mountain with a flying type sandwich. Thinking this made logical sense, I made the sandwich, but it turns out they were trolling, and it was successful, because I didn't remember that Minior was up there, and the flying type sandwich would be isolating that instead. But seeing as I already made the sandwich, I decided to use the Beldum spot, as it kept things a bit contained. And then it happened.
We gotta remove those bot commands. That was a quick return. He wouldn't have seen one of those guys. Yes! Yes! Okay, panic. Everybody panic. Everybody panic! Fuck it.
What's really cool about Minior is that the Pokédex actually tells you what core it was originally, meaning you can technically keep a collection of every core shiny. Maybe. By Sandwich 41, we'd come back around to looking for Skarmory, which in Violet is actually a dual hunt, seeing as Shieldon spawns there. No luck on either of those for now. Though to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if I completely missed one, and we'll explore why later. I figured I'd stay on something different for now, so we went with Rhyhorn. I felt the flyover strategy was pretty solid for this one, and seeing as I found 2, you can't argue the results. With some extra time, I would look for the final Geodude I needed, and boom! Evolution line complete at the buzzer. Aside from the Gen 4 fossil Pokemon, there's one other set of version exclusives, and that would be Alolan Sandshrew and Vulpix. I'd make the Steel-type sandwich looking for Sandshrew on the mountain. It had a side of Duraludon and Beldums, so this isn't the best strategy, which I would find later. Sadly, no shinies on that sandwich. And for the end of the long day, I'd set up shop at the Beldum spot. But this time for Porygon. With those same weird spawning mechanics, a normal type sandwich will spawn nothing but Porygon here. And using its power, I was able to snag 2 of them before bedtime. We're a decent amount above that 1-to-1 sandwich to shiny ratio, so the hunting has been going pretty good so far. We'd see if this would continue into day 4, but it didn't start off too hot. I'd go with the fire-type sandwich for Litten, finding a nice area on the mountain. There's an even nicer area than this though, and we'd get to that one later, since I found no Litten here. I spotted a Snivy outbreak on the map, and knew I had to go for it next sandwich. But this outbreak absolutely sucked. It was on the edge of where Snivy wouldn't be able to spawn, and I kept getting Trapinch and Chansey intervening. And when I finally did get a shiny, it was another Exeggutor. Go away, man, come on. And everything was going wrong at this point, because I would make a flying type sandwich for an emotional sport Borb, only for my stream to cut out. At least after rebooting my internet, I was able to find a round green ball. For 48, it was back to rock type for that last Rhyhorn I needed. After finding it, I would bravely search for another Minior, but those efforts were in vain. I would stick with this area looking for those last couple Beldum I needed, and was able to score both of them. So much easier when they don't all look shiny. I'd head over to the beach looking for Esper, but I still couldn't find it. Surely this would be an easy hunt though, right? Right? Oh god, why is the dramatic music playing? On the next sandwich, I would stumble into one of my favorite spots in the terrarium, being the AFK Torchic Cave. I would end up using this for a lot more than just Torchic, but for now, with minimal effort, I actually found 2 shiny Torchics on this sandwich. The same cave works for Snubble on a fairy type sandwich, so I would also find 2 of them here. And you've been keeping track of the score here, gamers. You had no choice, it was in the corner this whole time. Yeah, boy. Number 69. Nice. Which Pokemon is it going to... Alright, you know what? No. That's enough. No more. Don't smash Pokemon. No. Stop. Leave that Paldea alone. No. I'd head back to the Borbs for shiny number 70. Still, sadly, only getting 1 Borb per sandwich so far. At least it was consistent though. I'd head back to Shieldon for the next sandwich, but apparently I can only get lucky with 1 of the fossil Pokemon. I'd pop a bug sandwich next, and for some reason the Beldum spot doesn't work for Joltik. I suspect that it's probably because there's a cave spawn versus mountain spawn region, and this chunk does the mountain spawns. But oddly enough, Joltik will still spawn here. This spot is just very weird. I would find another shiny Joltik scouring the rest of the cave though. Next sandwich, it was back to Slowpoke, which this time I would do the town reset method with the nearby plaza. I would find a shiny Slowpoke before making an instantly correct prediction. Maybe we'll cop a cheeky deerling or a toucan. Wait, that, oh my, what? 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 This random shiny being followed by another shiny Slowpoke. Next sandwich, I was kind of all over the place, looking for Doduo and Scyther, then to Minior, then to the fossil area for Skarmory. I did have a specific water-type starter in mind for sandwich 58, however, the game had a different idea. Like, super expensive to replace. Oh yeah, we're not getting anything else. Well, are you what? Huh? And the current bout of hunting would stay weird with the next grass sandwich. I would hunt Turtwig in a nice isolated spot, which you don't have to turn the camera for at all. And we would have some moments with a couple of these Turtwigs. Is that... He was trying to hide from me. What an asshole. They, Trico as well? Does somebody want to not be hiding from me real quick? Wait. Are you... Whoa! It's the anti-asshole! Using the same spot, 2 of the next 3 sandwiches, I would get myself a Litten on each one, in between looking for a Porygon that wouldn't show up. And as the night was winding down, I was looking for a couple of easier hunts to get done, which led me to the Torchic Cave once again, and I found that it might be possible to isolate a Alolan Vulpix here. That turned out to be correct, somehow finding not 1, but 2 of them. And my god was I thankful for this, because if you're not sure what to look for, you're easily walking past this shiny. And with the final sandwich of the day, I went to the Coastal Cave. This time finding Diglett and Dugtrio in decent time. I'd then go looking for a Trapinch line shiny, but somehow managed to stumble my way into a shiny Milcery yet again. 64 sandwiches and 4 days down, only a couple more days to go. I couldn't quite remember how this was stacking up against my original 100 sandwiches video, but I knew we were definitely doing better than the first DLC, so at least we had that to be positive about going into the final days. I'd start day 5 optimistic at the prospect of potentially getting close to those original 100 sandwiches. However, I would say there was one main culprit that prevented that from happening. This beach. For some reason, this beach turned out to be absolutely cursed. The Esper, Grookey, and Pikipek hunts were all conducted here. However, several sandwiches went by without getting a single shiny. But you could imagine the relief I felt when I finally got my first shiny on it, right? Yo, Ryan. Coming in with a 4-month resub. What's going on, Ryan? How you been, man? Are you... What? Oh, that's not relief. That's mild anger. Actually, searching for a shiny here was just too much to ask, I guess. You've just got to let them find their way to you. But neither Sobble nor Mudkip wanted to find their way to me on the next sandwich, though. But the game of shiny hunting is all about persistence and patience. And I'd get both a Scraggy and a Tyrogue on the next fighting-type sandwich. One Pokemon that would have been really nice to find is Smeargle. But I found it to be pretty much impossible to hunt this thing without getting a mass outbreak for it. So I roamed around the several areas that it could potentially be at, but I wouldn't find anything on that sandwich. I wouldn't let it crush my spirits though, because of what was coming up. Heh boy, sandwich number 69, nice. Never mind, we gotta stop doing this, man. Like, stop doing Pokemon. Like, okay, you're getting Milcery. Oh, okay, another one. And oh, wow, you're really getting pretty lucky there. What are you gonna do with these guys? Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Yikes. I mean, 6 shinies on 1 sandwich though, that's pretty good even with the boosted outbreak odds. I'd go back to my Violet save file to try to get a Sandshrew. Not showing up on the first sandwich, but I'd stick around here and get it on the second try. I noticed that Duraludon can also spawn in the cave, so I decided to go Dragon type next, only to find one outside the cave while resetting it, followed by a Vibrava over in the savannah. And I'm sorry everyone, I forgot to add this one to the shiny counter, so it'll be wrong from here on out.
This is not right. This is not cool.
This time I had an Esper outbreak on the cursed beach, so surely this would be enough to break the curse, right? Nope, we're still going through pain and suffering over here. I'd pushed my luck back at the cave trying to get myself a second Sandshrew, but I was meeting resistance on this one, and I would have to come back another time. Back to the fossil area where I really hadn't been getting too lucky either, aside from when the Milcery outbreak was here. This is the only place to look for Trico, and I'd finally get it on sandwich 75. I'd keep searching for a Grookey, but the curse of the beach was too strong. Throughout much of this run of the 100 sandwiches, I made it a bit of an effort to not keep hammering away at something for multiple sandwiches in a row. And when I didn't have a particular thing I wanted to do, I would get myself another Borb. Rowlet's empty stare will always make my day feel better. I wanted to go for a Squirtle hunt next, thinking, I found quite a few of them on the fighting type sandwich when I was coming over here for Tyrogue. And for some reason, it seems like they just don't spawn on your water type sandwiches, and you get more spawns on a different type of sandwich. Before I could even get to this area though, I'd stumbled into a random shiny Sawsbuck. After giving up on Squirtle, I would full send a water type roulette in the polar biome, somehow spotting one of the most impossible shinies ever. Is that it? I think that's it. Yes. Dugong is honestly fine, but Seal, it's impossible. Like, from the front, maybe, but it's incredibly cursed. I don't care what anyone says. I'd try the Chargestone Cave Roulette a couple sandwiches later on Electric type, but I wouldn't find luck there. And I went for the Fire Starter Roulette going in and out of Torchic's Cave, but no luck there either. So I would look to the Borb for more guidance, and this one turned out to be a little bit more special. Is that it? Wow, I almost missed this Borb. This has got to be a tiny Borb. That is a tiny Borb. That is a tiny Borb. Oh my god. I thought it was more special because I thought it was number 100 at the time, but I forgot to add the Vibrava, so what I'm trying to say is my entire life is a lie. Went normal type sandwich next, and I would soon be face to face with both a shiny Porygon and a shiny Doduo, and I'd keep getting up close and personal with some shinies on a fairy type sandwich, getting a couple of quick Cottonies, and I still somehow haven't found a shiny Froakie, after hunting it several times now, but I yet again wouldn't find that or a shiny Poplio on this water sandwich. I'd head back to the Torchic Cave for a Sandshrew hunt to wrap up day 5, but unfortunately, yet again, I found nothing. Though I was taking it a little bit easy at this point because 20 sandwiches each day was getting pretty tiring. I had decided I was trying to get this video out before Christmas, but scriptwriter me here knows that didn't happen. But I knew if there was at least going to be a chance for that to happen, I'd need to be putting in that kind of time. But come the end of day 5, I could relax and take my time a bit going into day 6, knowing that there were only 16 sandwiches left to do. I'd start the day on Violet, trying to look for Shieldon one last time, but it just didn't want to show up. But from there, the good luck started pouring in. I'd go for Sandshrew one more time, accidentally getting this Abomasnow, before finding the little guy outside. And just a minute later, I'd find Crabominable out there as well. Some of the few Pokemon I just hadn't hunted at all yet was the Oddish line. And if I want to get a living dex of them at some point, I'll need 4 of them. So I got to it, finding one of them, but at the buzzer, I would find a different poison type instead. Not knowing what to do next, I'd go for a Borb sandwich. But this time, no Borbs came about. The first sandwich that I didn't get a shiny Rowlet. I was crushed. How could the Borb do this to me? Surely, it was just a sign. Instead of 1 shiny Borb on that sandwich, it would bless me with the next 8 sandwiches getting at least 1 shiny each. On 89, I'd finally get myself a shiny Sobble, and it would be a marked female one, so it was definitely worth the wait. And then I'd look for Totodile, and I maybe saw 4 Totodile before finding the shiny. And by popular demand, he was named Bard Jr. Oh yeah, I transferred Bard over into the game, basking in his 3-dimensional glory. It was back to the cursed beach with a grass-type sandwich, trying desperately to find a single Grookey, or honestly, just anything. And finally, the cursed beach would give me something. Blossom. It was Blossom. But at least I was technically hunting for it, and it was shiny on the sandwich. A recipe good enough to break the curse. I still hadn't really looked for certain starters much, so I decided to take a look for Tepig next. And it didn't take too long to find this time. I would bravely set out to look for Fennekin, but before I could even get to where I was going, I'd find a familiar face.
Really? Really? I swear these things are like 1 in 200. I swear.
Even going back to Gen 6, I've found more than my fair share of shiny Pyroar, and I've found at least 7 of this line in Scarlet and Violet now. Anyway, the Fennekin hunt was a complete fail, as you might expect. Magby and Magmar spawn way too much in the area comparatively. After this, I decided it was time for the final Slowpoke, but I was rudely interrupted by an Execute, only a reset or 2 after getting there. I'd get my Slowpoke not too much later though. Still having time on the Psychic Sandwich, I figured I still hadn't hunted the Reuniclus line at all yet, so I'd make my way to the polar biome, and boom, a shiny Reuniclus. With the rest of the sandwich, I checked back with the Cursed Beach to see that, yes indeed, the curse was finally lifted, as I would find shiny Esper with the remaining time. I still wanted my shiny Skarmory, but let me show you why this hunt is a little more suspect than you would expect.
Is that it? Wow. No, it's not gonna be good. Wait, yeah, it is. What the frick, man?
So, while I could see it from far away, the closer I got, the less shiny it got. A word of warning to those looking for your metallic chicken. Next sandwich, I would look for Grookey one last time, finding not 1, but 2 shiny Blossom on this sandwich, before finally getting the yellow monkey. I was also hoping to finally find a shiny Froakie, but I'd just find another Popplio. The luck on this sandwich streak was just so on point that this would end up happening as I went to make my next sandwich.
Witchcraft. Are you? What the frick?
And on said next sandwich, I would get myself another shiny Borb. And after getting the Borb, the streak would finally be broken. I would stick around with a ground type sandwich where nobody from the Vibrava line wanted to be shiny. I would like to say that I had the idea of finishing with grass, water, and fire sandwiches before making sandwich 98, but I just didn't really know what to hunt, and Mudkip seemed like a good option. I'd get myself a shiny one though, but still no shiny Froakie. Going for grass on sandwich 99, I'd head to a Snivy outbreak, finding this one to be better than the one I had done before. Still getting occasional Exeggutor, but much better than just getting any random Savannah Pokemon at sometimes. To this point, I hadn't really used the Synchro Machine feature much before this, as people were telling me that it was possible to kill shinies with it, but it's definitely a lot faster to clear an outbreak with, and I wanted to make the most of the time of the sandwich, and as the number of Pokemon that I needed to kill for the outbreak was winding down, the unthinkable happened.
No! Ah! No! Ah!
Oh no!
No, dude.
Wait, on that pilot, or?
No, I just didn't see him. I just didn't see him until it was right there.
At moments like these, you wonder what you could do better. There were many factors at play leading to this death. The outbreak being in the green grass area instead of the yellow grass area, the fact I was moving with the camera turned in a different direction, and the fact that I just wasn't really looking in front of my Goldengo where he was going. The loss of this Snivy put a somber mood on the rest of the sandwich, as I had the gut feeling that I just wasn't going to be able to get another one. And I decided to forego the final fire sandwich that I had planned, which I was actually just gonna waste on a Cyndaquil, just for the shot at redemption. I couldn't leave the end of the 100 sandwiches on this note, not getting the shiny Snivy, the only one that had shown up for me thus far. But as the final 30 minutes became 20, hope was fading. And with only a few minutes remaining, we turned to the power of Dino Dance to try and summon one last shiny. But then...
Well, guys, that is the end of our 100 sandwiches.
The clock had struck 0 on the final sandwich, leaving a dark stain on this finale. But what if I told you this wasn't the final sandwich? Well, we thought it was the final sandwich at the time, but as I was gathering all the footage that I would need for the video, I noticed a glaring mistake. Back on day 3, as I was in my sandwich menu trying to decide what to make next, I incremented the sandwich counter, something I would normally do. However, I had then made the decision to switch over to my Violet game, and after having to unlock a couple of things in the club room and organize my boxes, upon making the sandwich, I incremented the counter again, meaning that we actually still had one more sandwich to do. And I can't be out here saying I did 100 sandwiches, but only did 99. I wouldn't want to be clickbaiting now, so I readied my Switch for one last try, and I even went as far as finding another Snivy outbreak, defeating the 60 I needed, and then making the sandwich for maximum odds at getting it. I just had to hold out the hope that it would finally show up again. But deep into the sandwich, my hope was rather depleted. Please. It's like I really want this, but it's like... Also, I don't want to delay the video. If there's one thing that I've learned from all of these shiny sandwiches, it's that Scarlet and Violet shiny hunting can be kind of deflating when it isn't going your way, feeling you spent a half hour or more doing nothing when you were really expecting something. At least in previous titles, you wouldn't really have the expectation of getting shiny super fast. But even when your sandwich starts winding down, you need to keep looking, because after all, it only takes a fraction of a second for a Pokemon to spawn, and for your luck to turn around. Is that it? It's it. He's a buzzer beater. The suspense. He's a buzzer beater, man. And there we have it. 100 shiny sandwiches, 128 shiny Pokemon. Slightly worse than the original 100 sandwiches video, but better than Kitakami. For this, I would say two main things were the issue. Number one was the cursed beach, and number two is that I didn't have Philly Beatsu videos to help me out this time. I was largely finding out my hunting locations as I went along, with some input from chat. I also more than likely would have been a good bit worse off if it weren't for the Milcery outbreaks, responsible for 11 of the shiny Pokemon, and responsible for our best sandwich, getting 6 shinies on it. I think it would be fair to say that we'd be looking at about 3 or 4 shiny Pokemon instead of those 11, so our true final number would be around 120 shinies if you wanted to exclude those. But now it's time for the mark check. Just how good is the new mark charm? Evo spin moment. Evo shot 1. The Borb is marked. The Sociable. Extreme is marked. The Sociable. Meh the third. It's literally, we want everybody to be EP, but this one's an early riser. ND home. ND home. It's the Sociable. Winter Octo, the Deerling. The Spring Deerling. This was on the beach. It was hiding under a tree. It was hiding under a tree. It's EP! It was actually sleeping! Let's go! Xbox Crown. Can we get some exclamation point pro slots in chat? Oh, we knew that. Yeah. The record. And he's the Sociable. Moth. Dawn. The early riser. We have Bend Over. Bend Over for this rare mark. Oh, he's charismatic. He's charismatic. Manic Man. Minecraft Manic Man. It's EP. Tesco Man. The Muck. The EP! The EP! We have Boar Brownish. Did this guy get banned? No, he didn't get banned. It was a different guy put around his name. Sociable. Alright, we were due for Sociable. We've got Bry. The Golette. The Peeved Mark. We got Cheese Minsta. Mayhaps. The Cloudy Mark. The Cloud Watcher. We've got Emma Loves Whooper. The Bulbasaur. The EP! We've got the Bonkers. It was marked. That's totally bonkers, dude. EP! We've got Cool Quaxley. That's a really cool Quaxley now. Or is it something a little more rare? Oh, I mean it is more rare. We've got a Reeves. Reeves is charismatic. The Radiant. Frostbite. Thick Nick Mark? Question mark. The Sociable. Pokebs, 99 type, so it might be. It's Sociable. We've got Neil. Ready. Boom. The EB. Bucci. Bucci the OO. The Zoned Out Mark. Bucci the Daydreamer. Marithu. Eternal. EP. We have Crying Potato. The Sociable. Pokefan, 17,000. True and real. The Stormy. Flux Paradigm. The Tyrogue.
Oh my god. It's so fitting. Look at that. We got Pokeblader, the Borby, and she is the sociable Carbon Owl, the Duskmark, the Dozy. We have Azure Doze, Crafty Marked. We have Ella, sociable Mayday. Yo, Bucci coming in with the gifted sub. Going to the me guy. The EP. Mayday the EP. We've got Blister, the sociable. We've got Skarmory. This is supposed to be named after somebody. I just can't remember exactly what their name was at this moment in time. The EP. We've got Stitch, the EP. We've got Abyss, the Grookey, the EP. Literally everything is the EP mark now, man. We've got Spooky Banana, the sociable. We have Anima Cat. Oh, it's sociable. Now it's coming out with the sociables. All right. We've got Case Archer, the yellow core Minior, in the Master Ball, and is marked. The Early Riser. Okay, we'll take it. We have Crank Day Olsen, the Early Riser. 37 marked shinies. The original video I only got 18, and in Kitakami I got 23. So we can see just how big of a difference the mark charm actually makes. Perhaps even more surprising is that sociable wasn't far and away the most common mark here either, but perhaps this came at the cost of a rare marked shiny. I got at least one of each in the other videos, but perhaps you would say it was just about time for me to not get one. And with that, our third and perhaps final 100 sandwiches video comes to a close. I didn't exactly envision this becoming a full-on series, but, you know, of course I would want to do the same thing on some new maps, and doing these extra sandwiches shows us your average sandwich should get you about 1.2 shinies on average, seeing now we have a sample size spanning over 150 hours of sandwiches, plus however many sandwiches were involved in a 3-segment Dudunsparce hunt, though I wasn't exactly keeping strict tabs on those ratios. And I want to say thank you guys for supporting this series. And once again, thank you for all of the support that you've given the channel over the past year. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and let's hope to make 2024 even better, with even crazier Pokemon adventures ahead. Until then, I've been Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.